Chapter 161, Sanwen. I don't know how long it took before the screams faded. Let you hug again. Chu Ling walked out of his face in a desperate mood. Before leaving, she did not forget to kick Yi Chen, and on the beautiful cheek, clearly wrote the word, Shuang. As for Yi Chen, the whole was lying on the ground like a dead pig, so that he could not even recognize his relatives. Everyone is gone, still pretending. Chu Shuner, sitting at the side drinking tea, glanced at Yi Chen angrily. Really don't say it. As soon as she finished speaking, Yi Chen turned around and jumped up. A pair of panda eyes froze around, and saw Chu Linger really go, so she was relieved. But it's still smooth and fragrant. It's so good that the scar forgot the pain, and Yi Chen had smelled his hands in front of Chu Shuner's face. I didn't think so much before. Now it smells and remains in the fragrance on the hand was exactly the same as that of Chu Linger that night. Could not help but Yi Chen began to involuntarily imagination again, that night's affairs, how really can't catch up in my mind. Boy, aren't you brave. Even the master and my sister dare hug. Aside, Chu Shuner said with a smile. What's the matter? Yi Chen wiped a nosebleed, and Lao Su went to bed with her, not to mention holding it. Of course, he just said it in his heart, otherwise Chu Shuner would probably be on the spot fuck him. Besides, I always thought it was your old man who guided me to practice. Thinking of being teased, Yi Chen looked at Chu Shuner angrily, but he was almost killed by his beautiful master. Listen to you, if you are the one who guides you in cultivation, you can hug it casually. Chu Shuner smiled and smiled again, and looked at Yi Chen, who was swollen and swollen. Then I hug you, will you hit me? Yi Chen rubbed her hands and looked at Chu Zonner with a smile. You can try it. Chu Shuner didn't go to see Yi Chen, but she stretched out her hand and looked around. Seeing this, Yi Chengen laughed. I will not try it. As an apprentice, he still knew his master very well. If he really rushed up and hugged him, he would be beaten to the ground next to him. Are you sure you want to try it? No, no more. Since you don't try it, it's the right thing to do. Chu Shuner no longer made trouble with Yi Chen, and took out a blue elixir from the storage bag. Eat it. Chu Shuner threw the blue elixir over. Seeing this, Yi Chen, who hadn't been able to pull a few moments ago, suddenly glowed his eyes at this moment. Thank you, master, hee. Yi Chen has stepped forward and caught the elixir. Yu Guang glanced at the blue miracle. His eyes became hotter because of the clearness of the elixir. 3 Dan patterns. Sanwen Lingdan. Yi Chen's breath became hastily, but this moment had to be commemorated, because this was the first time he saw the highest level of elixir except for the half of Tianji Dan. It turned out to be Sanwen Lingdan. Yi Chen could not help but swallowed a sip of water, and looked at the cyan salvia in his hand with a bright eyes. It's the size of a grape. It's quiet and clear, exuding a strong medicinal scent, haunting a blue halo. The main thing is that it has a breath that makes the soul feel particularly comfortable. This Dan is called Soul Spirit Dan, which is a medicine that nourishes the soul. On the side, Chu Shuner spoke and introduced. Elixir to nourish the soul. Yi Chen was even more excited when he said this, and he opened the mouth to stuff the elixir into his mouth. However, just as the elixir was about to be sent into the mouth, he couldn't help but stop, because he saw the strange phenomenon in the soul spirit. Secretly whispered, Yi Chen could not help but take the soul spirit closer, more accurately put it in front of the left eye Shanlin. The left eye froze a bit. He was surprised to find that he can see from the soul spirit Shu Fu's figure is also a picture of Shu Fu's alchemy. For a moment, he was there. Although the soul pill is small, the picture he sees from the soul pill is magnified indefinitely. It is indeed the picture of Shu Fu's refining the Dan, more precisely the picture of Shu Fu's refining the soul. Every key to controlling fire was magnified indefinitely, and it was imprinted in the eyes of Shanlin. It is Shu Fu's soul brand. Yi Chen muttered. Generally speaking, alchemists need a high degree of soul power to cope with the alchemy, and each type of elixir produced by the alchemist has their soul imprint. This soul imprint contains the process of alchemy. However, no one can see the so-called soul imprint in Lingtan. This is exactly where Yi Chen was shocked, because under the eyes of Shanlin, he actually performed the imprint of the soul hidden in the soul spirit. And it doesn't count. Through the eyes of Shanlin, he was surprised to find that the soul spirit in his hand was not an elixir, but hundreds of herbs, and the name of each herb and the weight of each herb were taken by him. Fairy eye decomposition is very thorough. Shanlinian still has such an overbearing ability. Thinking to himself, Yi Chen turned his hands and took out an Erwin Lingden named Zugaden from the storage bag. Still in front of Shanlin's eyes, he could see the imprint of the soul hidden in the bone-building Dan at a glance, and he could decompose the spirit grass and the key to controlling the fire needed to make the two-grained Ling Dan. I seem to have found a treasure. When Yi Chen said this, he couldn't even believe it. Shanlinian can capture the imprint of the soul in the elixir. This means that if I take a look at the elixir, I can develop a method for refining that elixir, the herbs needed, and the key to controlling fire. Not equivalent to giving me the elixir of elixir. As long as my soul level is high enough, I do not need to teach others, and I do not need to see it, I can make any elixir. Quote, is this going against the sky? Why didn't I find that Shanlin I still had such an overbearing ability? In muttering to himself, Yi Chen couldn't help but stroke his own Shanlin eye. Can it be that I have advanced to the human realm, or it is these days that tempered the soul in the stone room, which inspired the potential ability of the fairy eye? Quote, what are you talking about? Don't eat it yet. Aside, Chu Shuner frowned when she saw Yi Chen's cyanosis. Thoughts were interrupted. Yi Chen hurriedly looked at Chu Shuner, pointed at the soul spirit in his hand, and asked, Master, is this soul spirit made by Elder Shu Fu? Otherwise do you think? Sure enough, after getting a positive answer from Chu Shuner, Yi Chen was even more convinced that his guess was correct. The soul brand that was performed from the soul pill was Shu Fu's. The soul pill was undoubtedly made by Shu Fu. Already. At this moment, Yi Chen was excited to jump up. Moreover, he has been unable to restrain an impulse, that is, returning to the inner gate of the little spirit garden, digging out the half Tianji Dan from the rock wall. He can perform the soul imprint in Tianjidan, thereby deducing Tian refining method of Jidan. This is the rhythm of flying into the sky. Wow ha ha, I wonder if it's excited or something. Yi Chen burst out and laughed suddenly. Chapter 162, Soul Realm. On the side, Chu Shuner looked at Yi Chen's stupid smile and was very confused. It is good. After Chu Shuner stumbled, Yi Chen suddenly sighed. Puff. Chu Shuner, who was drinking tea, was taken off, so much that she had just sipped the tea in her mouth and spit out Yi Chen's face. Just shocked. What nerves do you have? Chu Shuner glared at Yi Chen angrily. No, nothing, nothing. Yi Chen smiled sillily. Soul Lingden, if you eat or not, you will come back. Chu Shuner said. He will come forward and take back the soul Ling Yi in Yi Chen's hand. Eat, of course. Yi Chen's eyes were swift and his hands were fast, and soul spirit Dan was stuffed into his mouth as fast as possible, for fear that Chu Shuner would take him back. The soul pill entered the body and melted away immediately. Yi Chen had sat cross-legged on the ground, feeling that the elixir of spirits that flowed away was like a stream of clear springs flowing through all the meridians of his body. The tired soul benefited the most, as if bathed in the spring wind. Quietly, Yi Chen felt that her body became light and fluttering, and her consciousness was like duckweed, and she could not rely on the waves. I saw it. Yi Chen, who closed his eyes, murmured. In his consciousness, he seemed to see the barrier to the soul realm. This time he was not as stubborn as usual, but he really saw it. Although murmured, it was still heard by Chu Shuner aside. Chu Shuner's face suddenly appeared a reassuring smile. You did not let me down, nor did you and Brother Shu Fu refine the soul spirit day and night. Soon, Chu Shuner waved her hand to close the entrance to Shishi, so as not to kill her good-looking younger sister. Yi Chen is now on the verge of breakthrough, and can't tolerate any outside disturbance. In the stone room, it became extra quiet. This is a long process. The advancement of the soul is much more difficult than self-improvement, and it naturally takes a long time. At this moment, Yi Chen's consciousness is still swimming, and her whole body and mind are in a wonderful state. The soul elixir has been completely dissolved in his body, and the essence of the elixir that nourishes the soul is like nectar, washing his soul, and hardening his consciousness like a hammer. So, a night passed quietly. The next day, before the first red glow of the east appeared, a roar of irritability came from the stone room. Break me! With Yi Chen roaring, his extremely sublimated soul suddenly broke through the barrier and entered the soul mystery. Hum. Soon, the 4 soul monuments in the middle, southeast, and northwest of Shishi trembled, and the word, spirit, above changed into the word, Zon, at the moment of Yi Chen's breakthrough. They changed with Yi Chen's soul level, of. In the circle in the center of Shishi, Yi Chen, after yelling, fell into silence, but his body changed. First of all, he was covered with brilliant Jinwei, overflowing with golden breath. Secondly, his side, centered on him, formed a weird vortex, absorbing the mysterious power between heaven and earth. In the end, his eyebrows shone, and there was a word, Zon, looming. After a long time, Yi Chen still didn't open his eyes, he was still swimming in that mysterious mood. In the artistic conception, the birds are fragrant, the buds are broken, the buds are ready to be released, and everything is flourishing. Soon, the mood changed, and the strong wind screamed. The lush ancient trees had yellow leaves and the branches began to wither. The whole world picture was dotted with the fallen leaves. Then, the earth was withered, barren and silent, and the last few branches of the ancient trees were falling down. The cold wind was biting, the cold wind was blowing, the snowflakes filled the sky, and the world was covered with holy white clothes. This is a reincarnation, a constant alternation. The world of artistic conception is like a giant wheel. It revolves in the years and reincarnation in life and death. Yi Chen was in the mood, and witnessed the prosperity and bleakness of the soul. The alternate world is like a baby to an old man in the twilight. After a lifetime, he becomes a loam of Lois. Then, the world is still changing. The world has imprinted indelible marks. This world is really mysterious. Breaking into the soul realm, Yi Chen murmured for the first time. However, he still did not wake up. In the mysterious artistic conception, he saw the vastness of the ocean, witnessed the vastness of Kengyuan, saw the vastness of the starry sky, and felt the majesty of Juyu. Wonderful power between heaven and earth. Yi Chen's brows were locked and stretched from time to time, wandering in the artistic conception, and felt a mysterious and powerful force. According to Chu Linger's words, that was the power of heaven and earth. However, the so-called power of heaven and earth is too rampant. It is like a flash in the pan, and it is difficult to capture it when it disappears. At this point, Yi Chen opened his eyes slowly, 2 sharp eyes shot out the pupils, and the eyes became deep and restrained. I feel pretty good. Aside, Chu Shuner smiled and stuck to Yi Chen. Aha! Yi Chen turned around and jumped up. Although her eyes were deep and restrained, she couldn't hide the ecstasy in her eyes. At this moment, the door of Shishi opened, and Chu Linger's figure appeared beside Yi Chen like a ghost. A pair of spirits and beautiful eyes blinked and looked at Yi Chen. Breakthrough. Sudden. Broke through. Yi Chengen coughed, but stepped back subconsciously, and every time he saw Chu Linger, he would do so involuntarily. Just 1 day ago, the madwoman still beat him up. Pause. Have you felt the power of heaven and earth? Chu Linger apparently didn't notice Yi Chen's fear of her, and she was obviously more excited than Yi Chen, a pair of beautiful eyes staring at Yi Chen. Yes, but only for a brief moment. Yi Chen answered truthfully. Then how do you feel about the power of heaven and earth? Chu Linger still looked straight at Yi Chen. Very powerful, Yi Chen said in amazement. Do you? Linger. Chu Linger wanted to ask something, but was interrupted by Chu Zahner on the side. Looking at Chu Linger, Chu Zahner laughed. He is just an advanced soul, how can it be so easy? Capturing the power of heaven and earth. Quote. Oh yes. Chu Linger could not help but scratch his head. Here, Chu Shuner has shifted her eyes from Chu Linger's body to Yi Chen's side. Since you have broken into the soul realm, then the practice in this stone room will come to an end. Then I can go down the mountain. Yi Chen rubbed her hands and stared at Chu Zahner. You just want to go down the mountain. I want to go to Wanbao Pavilion to buy something. Yi Chen grinned. In fact, he bought the spirit grass needed to make soul spirit. Since he knows the soul spirit's refining method, and his soul has broken through to the Xuanji, he naturally wants to try it. Come back at night, Chu Zahner let out, allowing Yi Chen to go down the mountain. Oh, Yi Chen grinned and turned away from the stone room. After glancing at the back of Yi Chen's departure, Chu Shuner turned her eyes back to Chu Ling next to her. Her sister was still there, sometimes scratching her head and touching her chin. Oracle. Is there a sense of frustration? Chu Shuner asked with interest. Where? Don't talk hard. Chu Shuner smiled. Today's Chu, except Tian Zan men, can find only a handful of people who are higher than your soul level, and if you only talk about talent in the soul, as far as I know no one can stand up to you. Quote. Having said that, Chu Shuner blinked at Chu Ling but what? Your most proud soul talent, but lost to my baby apprentice. Ah, sister, is there such a thing as you? Chu Linger stomped his feet, gave Chu Zahner a bad look, and turned and walked out of the stone room. Looking at Chu Linger, who was furious, Chu Shuner smiled and shook her head helplessly, but for Yi Chen, her eyes revealed more comfort and excitement, and he broke a record again. Chapter 163, Have Baby. Here, Yi Chen has trot all the way to the inner door Wanbao Pavilion. Yo, seeing that it was Yi Chen, the huge river lying on a fake chair lifted an eyelid and laughed. Boy, you haven't been here for a few days. How about it, have you upgraded to a mysterious magpie? That is necessary. Yi Chen grinned, and then handed over the paper full of text, which wrote more than 100 kinds of spirit grass, which are all the materials needed for refining soul spirit. Elder, I need all of the above, Yi Chen said with a smile. After receiving the paper, Da Guangchuan glanced casually and couldn't help but look at Yi Chen in surprise. Boy, what good is it to have so many spirit grass? Drink soup. When I didn't ask, Da Chuan said angrily and turned into the cabinet. Soon, Dashuan Chuan walked out with a storage bag, and then erected a finger sharply. 80,000 spirit stones. So expensive. Yi Chen was surprised. This is too expensive. Da Chuan gave Yi Chen a glance, pointed at the storage bag, and said, do you know that there are several kinds of spirit grass in it, but it is very precious. 80,000 is already very cheap. Love, do you want? Yes. Yi Chen still handed a storage bag containing 80,000 spirit stones. After receiving those spirit grasses, Yi Chen didn't leave immediately, but slightly moved to the front of the huge river, and whispered, Elder, let me ask, how many spirit stones do you need to upgrade the Zon level magpie to the prefecture level maggot? Quote. This is it. Da Chuan touched his chin and figured it out, and then said, the materials used for the upgrade required 2 million, and there was a magical charm of 800,000. Well, if you count it, 2.8 million. Let's do it. Quote. Grunt. Yi Chen swallowed heavily. The 2.8 million is still a conservative estimate. Seeing Yi Chen like this, the huge Xuanyu whispered. Elder, what amulet is that? After shocked, Yi Chen looked at Dashuanshuan in doubt. If you say that the magical charm gives you spiritual power and the mysterious charm gives you mystic mystery, then the magical charm gives you the ability to move the magical weapon. Da Guangchuan explained, the magical spell is sealed in the magical charm. There is a magic weapon sealed in the low-order magical charm, 2 magic tools sealed in the medium-level magical spell, and 3 magic tools in the high-ordered magical charm. Naturally, the magical instruments with different grades have different prices. What do you mean? Yi Chen couldn't help but touch his chin. Either casting the mystic or the magic weapon requires the support of the spiritual force, so the casting of the mystic magic requires the coordination of the magical charm and the magical charm, and the magical weapon requires the coordination of the magical charm and the magical magic weapon. In my opinion, these 3 amulets are the most important. They are just like our monks, letting you know the secrets of the law and letting you dominate the spirit. Without spiritual support, everything is useless. Quote. I agree with this. Yi Chen nodded, thinking of the celestial mantra. Once a person's spiritual power is sealed, it is the lamb to be slaughtered. After groaning, Yi Chen looked at the huge river again. Elder Pang, that prefecture-level puppet will be upgraded to heaven-level puppet. It will cost a lot of money. That is no longer a problem that money can solve. What do you mean? Yi Chen scratched his head. Here, De Quan Chuan was lying lazily on the reclining chair again. Those upgrade materials have never been valued. Even if they are sold, most people can't afford them. Moreover, the prohibition on the body of the celestial maggot is too complicated, almost it is impossible to complete, and the success rate is infinitely close to 0. Quote. It's so difficult. Yi Chen's eyes stared roundly. How else do you think? Huge Chuanshong raised his hand. According to legend, Tian-level magpies can absorb the heaven and earth aura by themselves, but these refining methods have been lost as long as I am the 7th generation to teach. Absorb the heaven and earth aura by himself. Yi Chen was a little surprised. An unthinking puppet was able to absorb the heaven and earth aura by himself, which was beyond his expectation. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but touch his chin, and his eyes were twirling and turning, seemingly thinking of something. My Zixuan seems to be able to absorb Xingwei and moonlight, which is somewhat similar to Tianji Kui Lei. Quote. Without talking about the huge river, Yi Chen mumbled out of Wanbao Pavilion. However, as soon as he came out of the gate of Wanbao Pavilion, Yi Chen was blocked by a large group of people. These people are all familiar faces, one with red eyes, one looking at him with gritted teeth, but not the one who is Qi Hao's cousin, the young master of the Qi family in southern Xinjiang, and the 8th true legend of Heng Yu. Well, when you come to Wanbao Pavilion to buy things, are you all coming together? Seeing so many people staring at themselves, Yi Chen said in surprise. As soon as this word came out, a large number of people became instantly restless, and many people had already taken the guy out of their sleeves. Still shopping. I don't have money to buy anything, fuck. If the eyes can kill, I'm afraid Yi Chen has died more than 100 times in an instant. It is sad enough to say more than 100 mouthfuls. Most of them were disciples from the inner forest during the test of the barren forest. They tested the light of being robbed by Yi Chen in the barren forest. Yi Chen had robbed them again in Haoshan a few days ago. I am afraid that everyone except Qi Yang here should be clinking poorly. Well, I'm leaving now. Being stared at by a pair of wolves' eyes, Yi Chen only felt uncomfortable, and said that he would take the crowd away and go out. Waiting for you for a long time, still want to leave. Before waiting for Yi Chen to pull away the crowd, how long did a large group of people take a step forward collectively? There is quite a stance to beat Yi Chen on the spot. If it is not restricted by the rules, it's been a long time since then. Why, are you full? Feeling a bunch of bunny cubs were going to dry at the door of Wanbao Pavilion, the voice of Dashuan Chuan's scolding came out instantly. I want to fight somewhere else, get out. I have to say that the words of Dachuan Chuan are still very useful. Those disciples who surrounded Yi Chen took a step back. Dare to follow me on Fengyuntai. Qi Yang stood out and looked at Yi Chen with a grim expression. You are in the realm of the sun, I won't fight with you. Yi Chen's head is shaking like a rattle. He is not afraid of Qi Yang, mainly because he has no time to fight with Qi Yang. What he wants to do now it is alchemy. What, are you afraid? Qi Yang smiled viciously. Well, I'm scared. Yi Chen almost made Qi Yang stab an internal injury. You can't beat it anymore. I won't accept the move, and can beat me here regardless of the rules. Do you think you've been hiding for a while, or for a lifetime? Yi Chen was about to speak, but he couldn't help but whisper, because there was a tremor in his danhai, but it was strange to him that the tremor was not his fairy fire, but that black thunderbolt. Are there any babies? Yi Chen muttered in his heart, that the black thunderbolt and fairy fire are both heaven and earth spirits, and the things that can cause the black thunderbolt to tremble must not be ordinary. There must be a treasure on this group of people. Yi Chen touched his chin, and his eyes began to swing left and right. The little eyes looked at this, and anything weird could not escape his law. After lingering for a while, Yi Chen finally focused on Qi Yang in front of him, more precisely on a crescent pendant worn by Qi Yang's neck. When Yi Chen went to see the crescent pendant, his black thunderbolt in danhai trembled again. It's you. After capturing the black thunderbolt, Yi Chen determined that the baby was the crescent pendant. There is an upwind yuntai. When Yi Chen secretly searched for treasure, the disciples in front of them screamed. Aren't you pretty? What a skill to steal secretly, see Zhenjiang on Fengyuntai. A group of disciples drank into one piece, first the sea tide, and drowned Yi Chen on the spot. Just hit, I thought I was afraid you wouldn't succeed. See you at Fengyuntai. Yi Chen poked away the crowd directly, and before he left, he did not forget to glance at the crescent pendant worn on Qi Yang's neck. Wait for me. Quote. Seeing Yi Chen agree, Qi Yang immediately sneered, and suddenly followed in the footsteps of Yi Chen. Behind him, a large group of disciples swarmed up. Soon, the matter of Qi Yang and Yi Chen going to Fengyuntai spread throughout the entire Hengyuzong inner door, and immediately caused a stir. Yi Chen is full. Qi Yang is my 8th true disciple of Hengyuzong who ranked 8th. Who gave Yi Chen courage? It's strange not to lose. Chapter 164, Battle Qi Yang. As soon as the news came out, the inner door became agitated. Many disciples who had not thought about it had rushed to Fengyuntai. An outside student who had just entered the inner door had to intervene with Qiyang. The 8th true story naturally attracted the attention of many people. Soon, the inner door Fengyuntai was full of people, and the scene was very spectacular. Come here, make room for Shuan. In the crowd, Shang twisted his plump body, and Shuan squeezed in with no face or skin. The disciple glanced at Shang subconsciously, and twitched the corners of his mouth, clearly stating, "Why are you so fat? Come to this brother, and make room for the uncle." Soon, Xie Yun crowded. Still crowded, is there still room? The disciple's face suddenly darkened. Squeezing will always happen. Then the voice sounded, and even if a big hand came in, Huo Teng chewed in cheekily, and he pushed the inner disciple out of the crowd. Oh, Yi Chen, the boy has finally come down the mountain. Shang cursed and grinned after the disciple was squeezed out. I don't dare to go down these days, for fear of being pulled by the gang of rabbits. I'm not the same. The gang of ***** mothers were stuck under Yu Zhanfeng all day and waited for me to go down the mountain. Xie Yun narcissistically frowned his hair. Fortunately, my brother is smart, but he won't go down the mountain. Don't say anything, Lao Su has never been so aggrieved. Huo Teng was also full of complaints, and he didn't even walk down the mountain. During the 3 talks, more people gathered under Fengyun Terrace. People inside and outside were full of silhouettes. Yi Chen's enemies also came a lot. Qi Hao, Yongbin and Kong Sao all arrived. Naturally, Yi Chen's friends outside the door, such as Qi Yu, and Wang Lin, Xiao Jing, all came, and they were blunt and Shang and they were crowded together. Do you say Yi Chen will win? Xiao Jing froze a few others. Bakungcheng. Xie Yun touched his chin. This kid is very thief and never fights unprepared. Brother Qi, beat him. As soon as Xie Yun's words came down, there was a hissing voice from the audience. All the disciples who had made good contact with Qi Yang, of course, most of them were also covered by Yi Chen robbed people. Yi Chen, beat him. Xie Yun naturally did not let Yi Chen's momentum fall, and several live treasures came together, one by one, and the sound was not weak over Qi Yang's side. In this way, the gunpowder smell is strong before the war begins. On the stage, Yi Chen and Qi Yang have stood on both sides. Yi Chen is nothing, but his eyes always stare at the crescent pendant worn on Qi Yang's neck, and sometimes he touches his chin. It was Qi Yang. The grin was a yin smile, and the hate that gnashed his teeth couldn't tear Yi Chen up now. Shu Shi's anger can no longer be suppressed. When Qi Yang saved even the opening remarks, he stepped down and came straight to Yi Chen. The figure was as fast as the wind, and his shot was a mystery. Seeing this, Yi Chen moved immediately, stepping on mysterious footwork, and the afterglow was constantly behind him, avoiding Qi Yang's attack. I went to Fengyuntai today, so I don't need to go back. Qi Yang shouted immediately, his palms screamed, and swept across the sky. A big breath. Yi Chen sneered, and Ba Wang fought a strong punch. Boom! The fists collided, and a roar broke out, but the results were surprised. Qi Yang in the real world was taken a step back by Yi Chenzen. The audience was full of surprise. It's a shame on the front, and it actually shocked Qi Yang who really retreated. Kong Sao's eyes were full of unbelievable color. This kid's progress is also intimidating. Shang Er's eyes also stared round. I haven't seen you for a few days. On the stage, Qi Yang, who had fallen behind, could not help but be shocked. He could clearly feel the terrifying power contained in Yi Chen's fist, and that power was still hidden above him. He couldn't accept it, and he was shocked by a move that made his proud face suddenly hot, and he was furious. His hands quickly moved his fingerprints, as if to perform horror secrets. Do you think I'll give you a chance? Leng Sheng yelled. Yi Chen rushed like a wild lion, mysterious figure, constant shadows, killing instantly, bullying himself in front of Qi Yang, raising his hand as one boxing. Sheng Sheng interrupted Qi Yang's Yinju. Qi Yang's face was ruthless, but he had to stand back. Run, did you run? Yi Chen didn't give Qi Yang a chance at all. A monkey jumped, and in coordination with the uprising of tigers, he followed Qi Yang's footsteps. Roar. As a roar of a beast sounded, Yi Chen seemed like a fierce beast, and the overbearing close combat of the beast's anger began instantly. The feet, knees, and shoulders were used together, and every joint on the body became a fierce weapon. Yang kicked back. It's this style of play again. Such a voice sounded instantly from the audience. People who have experienced Yi Chen's domineering fighting technique are dared to be unnatural. As for the disciples, most of them see Yi Chen for the first time to show the anger of the beast, and they are all frightened, especially when they see Zhen Yang. When Qi Yang in the realm was defeated by Yi Chen, his face was even more exciting. What? Qi Yang's angry roar had been ringing on the battlefield. Although he had heard of Yi Chen's familiarity with melee combat, he was always proud to think that others were exaggerating and never took it to heart. Now, by trying his own body, he really understands the hegemony of this set of fighting secrets. However, after all, he was the 8th disciple of Hengyu Junjuan. He quickly found out the countermeasure. He took a punch from Yi Chen, and quickly retreated. He turned out and took out a killing sword. Secret famine meditation, pointing to Yi Chen. Yu Jian Lei Ju. With Qi Yang roaring, the killing sword trembled, and a rush of sword horns lingering on thunder and lightning shot at Yi Chen, and the quantity was not generally huge. Tiana sword formation. Yi Chen's body swiveled, and the Qishao sword was also sacrificed at the same time, and waved very close, condensing the defensive sword array of heaven. Pound pound pound. Qi Yang's lightning Zhanmang constantly hit the Tianjian sword formation, wiping out the sparks. Chong Mi. Yi Chen holding the position, Qishao sword waving, pointing at Qi Yang. Tianyi sword array changed instantly into an attacking sword array. Pound pound pound. It was another fierce collision, and the gorgeous sword mantle immediately shrouded the battle platform. The two men's robes continued to show the split mouth. Hengyu's true story is 8th, and it really isn't that simple. Yi Chen couldn't help but marvel at the sword battle. Qi Yang's horror was not comparable to the ordinary realm of Yang. Compared with Yi Chen, Qi Yang is even more shocked. As the 8th true legend of Hengyu, he is the secret master of both Qi family and Hengyu. He has been soaked in countless elixirs since childhood. He is piled up all the way. Strength is naturally horrible. But now, under the absolute suppression of Shu Wei, he failed to win Yi Chen in the first time, and instead ate one after another. He was defeated in a certain sense. Thinking of this, Qi Yang's eyes lightened fiercely, wielding a long sword, instilling spiritual power, and his shot was a big move. Seeing this, Yi Chen did not show weakness, and the overbearing mystery came up. Chapter 165, Hengyu Zhen Zhuan. Boom. Boom. The battle on Fengyuntai was fierce, and Yi Chen and Qiang launched a secret battle. This is a huge scene. The mysterious forms are colorful and the splendid brilliance covers the entire battlefield. The hard battlefield is beaten by rocks. As this Yi Chen a demon evil? Under the stage, the sounds of surprise followed. With Qiang, you can't beat 100 strokes without losing the wind. Where can he be so energetic? Visually, Yi Chen is going to be against the sky. Among the crowd, Shang touched his chin and said with a meaningful expression. I haven't seen it in a few days, and the growth rate is too fast. Xie Yun, Qi Yu and others were also shocked. Compared to them, Zhuo Qiuming's personal looks are a bit ugly. Yi Chen's progress was so rapid that he could possess Qi Yang's undefeated strength in such a short time, which greatly exceeded their expectations. At this moment, in a loft not far from Fengyuntai, a few people also lie on the railings. 4 men and 2 women, 6 people each are not weak. The atmosphere is magnificent, and their faces are more amazing. It's not small to talk about these 6 people. Hengyu Zhen Zhuan 2nd, Yu Zhanfeng 1st apprentice Nifeng. The 3rd true story of Hengyu, the 1st disciple of Yu Lingfeng is Nangong Yu. The 4th true story of Hengyu, Satu Nan, the 1st disciple of Flame Flame. The 5th true story of Hengyu Zhen, the 1st disciple of Tianquan Peak. The 6th true story of Hengyu, the first disciple of Yu Xinfeng, is like snow at night. Hengyu's true story 9th, Tianyan Peak's first disciple Shi Yan. They are 6 of the 9 true biography of Heng Yizong, plus Lu Yi, the first true biography of Heng Yizong, Lu Yi, the first true biography of Tianyu Peak, Yang Bin, and the 8th true biography of Heng Yizong, Yu Qingfeng. Qi Yang is the most amazing 9 of Heng Yizong's many disciples. I said brother Ni, that little brother Yi Chen is not easy. Satu Nan, the first student of Lai Yangfeng, was holding a jug, his face was drunk, and he looked at Yi Chen on Fengyuntai in the distance. It's more than simple, it's a demon. Ni Feng did not say, and Shi Yan on the side of Tianshan Peak took over the words. Qi Yang, who has repaired the realm of the people's realm as the real realm of war, does not fall, he is me the first one I've ever seen. Quote. Uncle Chu Zan's eyes are as bright as a torch. Yi Wushui sighed, she's a disciple. It's not unreasonable to be able to hit more than 100 disciples in the inner door in the barren forest. Duan Yuqing shook his folding fan. And I also heard that not long ago, he took Yongbin to the back of the inner door. This little master is so interesting. Quote. The 4 of them spoke to you in a word and sentence, but Nifeng and Nangongyu were silent. How to say? The temperament of the 2 is somewhat similar. Both belong to the class of few words. Nifeng is calm and restrained but is heroic and intimidating. Nangongyu is soft and beautiful but gorgeous. I said, you 2 have bitter gourds all day, interesting. After all, Satu Nan couldn't help but speak. Brother Ni and sister Nangong, are you worried about brother? Yi Wushui tentatively glanced at the 2 of them. After all, Nangongyu nodded slightly, but there was a little worry on the soft and beautiful cheeks. Seeing Nangongyu like this, Satu Nan and others shook their heads helplessly, as if they knew what Nangongyu was worrying about. Tian knows how the Zhengyang sect appeared a mysterious body. Steward Nan, the unscrupulous, rubbed his eyebrows fiercely. I don't know that brother Lu Yi will have some chance of winning against her. Hey, after Satu Nan said this, everyone couldn't help but sigh secretly. Boom. I do not know when the silence of the crowd was broken by a roar of Fengyuntai not far away. On the Fengyun terrace in the distance, Yi Chen and Qi Yang, who regretted a big move, were shocked by each other. The battle was still fierce, and the whole stage was covered with blood. On one side, Qi Yang shed his hair, was bloody, and looked a little distorted, like an evil spirit from hell. On the one side, Yi Chen was also extremely embarrassed. Although he broke through to the human realm, his strength was suppressed by the Moon Shadow 7-star ring. In addition, Qi Yang was not an ordinary true Yang realm. This battle was defeated and he was also affected injuries all over the body. Under the stage, a pair of twinkling eyes stared straight at the battle platform, afraid to miss any wonderful picture. Yi Chen. A sudden roar broke the silence on the scene, and Qi Yang growled as if he was crazy. From the beginning to the present, he was getting more and more shocked. Yi Chen's troubles were far beyond his expectations, and his so-called shock was also turned into anger bit by bit. Who he is, however, the young master of the Qi family in the southern Xinjiang, the 8th true story of Dangung Hengyu, could not tolerate his pride. His anger and even blinded his mind, repeatedly suffered losses in the hands of a teacher in the Yuan dynasty, and failed to win Yi Chen for so long. For him, this was a great shame. I'm not convinced to come to war. Opposite, Yi Chen's war intentions were high, and his momentum became more arrogant. You will die terribly. Qi Yang drank violently, his eyebrows flickered with aura of light, and then a silver mang shot into the air. Take a closer look. It was his silver pagoda. The silver pagoda was suspended in the air, blooming with silver awns, overflowing with silver radiance, and constantly became huge in the air. The horrible coercion crushed the slate of the battle platform. Bai, Shang-Er's scolding came from the audience, Dongyang Zhenyang realm, playing with one's original realm, and shameless. That is, anyway, you are also my 8th true disciple in Hengyu. It's too unkind to bully people with their own idiom. Xie Yun also scolded. True disciple, you deserve it. Huo Teng's roar was even louder. The Tatars yelled loudly below the stage, one louder than the other, mainly because they knew too much about the horror of Qi Yang's destiny. On the same day in Haoshan, the silver pagoda almost crushed them to the ground. Today, Yi Chen alone can't stop Qi Yang's destiny. For Qi Yang's use of the destiny spirit, the disciples who watched the battle were also disdainful. It did have the demeanor of distorting the disciples. The revision is a higher level than Yi Chen. Go on. Soon, the scornful and ironic voice hit the whole battlefield. However, Qi Yang still cares about these rumors. His purpose now is very clear, that is, to defeat Yi Chen at all costs, even at the expense of the people. No way, he was also forced. Blame Yi Chen was too tenacious. After playing for such a long time, not only did he not defeat it, but Yi Chen became more and more brave and hard to win. In the boiling voice, the silver pagoda trembled again, and the horror of horror dropped down. Yi Chen tried hard to resist, but was still crushed for a while. Since you are shameless, don't blame me for being cruel. Yi Chen snorted, and turned his hands out of the black iron whip dedicated to beating the soul. Seeing Yi Chen take out the iron whip, Qi Yang was surprised. He knew the weirdness of the iron whip too much, but had suffered a great loss once in the mountains behind Neiman. With this in mind, Qi Yang hurriedly actuated his own destiny. Ling Tian pressed, suppress me. Do you hold me down? Yi Chen drank coldly, stepped down, leapt up, and slammed the silver pagoda firmly. Chapter 166, Brute. LB. The sound of a metal collision sounded instantly. The silver pagoda falling from the sky was shaken violently by Yi Chen, and Qi Yang, who was its master, stepped back on the spot because of the connection of the soul. Such a weird scene made the battle erratic. It's that iron whip again. Kong Sao and Zhuo Qiuming, their faces were dreary and terrible. They knew the horror of the iron whip, and the mountain was planted on the iron whip more than once behind the barren forest and the inner gate. Above. That iron whip is weird. In the attic not far away, Satu Nan, the first priest of the Flame Peak, couldn't help touching his chin. It should be a weapon aimed at the soul. Ni Feng, who has always been taciturn, spoke for the first time, and there was a strange light flashing in Ji Yu Jing's unwavering eyes. Obviously, he never thought that Yi Chen was still hiding this. A fierce weapon. Get me out. On Fengyuntai, Yi Chen's roar had already sounded, and fiercely, he knocked out the still vibrating silver pagoda with one punch. Sorry for the magic weapon with your bare hands. This kid is a beast. Come. All the surprise sounds were covered by Yi Chen's next roar. He turned his hands and inserted the iron whip on the platform, and then, like a wild lion, killed Qiang with his bare hands. What? Qi Yang roared, and his shot was a terrifying seal. Open. Yi Chen did not retreat. Ba Wang struck with one punch, arrogant and overbearing, and the punch blasted the seal. Qi Yang was shocked by vomiting blood and backed up, and again used the secret method. Open. As always, Yi Chen was arrogant, and every shot was a punch, and the Vietnam War became fiercer, and his blood rose. As if the flames were burning, Qi Yang would be broken by his powerful skills every time he used mysteries. What? Qi Yang roared and shook the sky. His secret methods were being used wildly, but it was still difficult to stop Yi Chen's offensive. Yi Chen's fist seemed to contain some powerful power. No matter how he resisted, he could not restore the defeat. Puff, puff. On the battlefield, Qi Yang couldn't stop backing, and a burst of blood spurted out in a row. Boom. With a terrifying roar, Qi Yang regressed. Yi Chen held one arm tightly, and then the whole person was thrown up. Seeing this picture, many people at the scene have subconsciously covered their eyes, because then is Yi Chen's special skill, falling. Sure enough, a roar, Qi Yang, bloody, was slammed on the stage by Yi Chen. The hard stage was smashed out of a human-shaped pit by blood, and blood splattered, and Qi Yang covered his bones. I don't know how many of them were broken, and all my internal organs were dropped. Come again. Yi Chen didn't stop, didn't give Qi Yang time to react, and sturdy Qi Yang again. Boom. A second roar rang immediately, and Qi Yang was smashed on the battle platform again. Boom, boom. Then for the third, fourth, fifth. At this moment, not only below, but even Satu Nan, who was not far from the attic, their eyes were widened. This scene was bloody. Qi Yang, the eighth true story, was completely maimed. Qi Yang is defeated. Everyone opened his mouth and couldn't believe the scene in front of him. The true story, eighth, was defeated by one person's realm. I don't know when the thumping sound extinguished. In the big pit, there was a pool of blood, and Qi Yong fainted lying in it. Yi Chen wasn't idle either. He moved his hands up and down, and tossed around Qiong. First, he consciously pulled away the crescent pendant worn by Qiong's neck, then stuffed Qiong's storage bag into his arms, and finally Qiong the jade pendant on the waist and the jade ring on the finger were also taken away. Is this kid a robber? I saw how many people twitched at the corner of Yi Chen who was so skilled. 10 years of hard work, one before returning to liberation. Succeed. Yi Chen, who ransacked Qi Yong, patted his asterisk and jumped off the platform, slipping away in the eyes of everyone. Soon, the entire inner door and even the entire Hengyu exploded. Qi Yong, the eighth of the true story, was beaten to death by a disciple who had just entered the inner door, and still moved his own magic weapon. Not only the disciples, but also many elders were shocked. On the Jade Peak, when Chu Xuner and Chu Ling heard the news, they suddenly froze. On Yu Zhanfeng, Feng Wuji was silent for a long time after hearing the news. What did this kid grow up to be? Inside the Wanbao Pavilion, the giant Chuanxi started to sit at the door. His face was a little bit wonderful. You can defeat Qi Yong. Is that disciple named Yi Chen a demon evil? There were also surprises from the inner mountain peaks. Look at it, let me tell you. This kid is coming to the inner door, it must be lively. On the vigorous mountain peak of Heng Yizong, Dao Zan really sneered and said, I won't be at peace anywhere. Quote. Next to him, there was a middle-aged man with thick black hair and deep eyes, tall and strong figure, a pair of swords, eyebrows, and tigers, who showed their majesty by raising their hands and feet. This person is Heng Yizong's contemporary leader, Yang Dingtian. Sister Xuner really found a good apprentice. Yang Dingtian gently rubbed his beard, and there was still a lot of wonder in his eyes. The cultivation of the people's realm can defeat Qi Yong, but I still have such talent in Hengyu dissident disciple. Quote. I heard that he is also one of the candidates. Dao Zan really looked at Yang Dingtian tentatively. Yang Dingtian nodded softly. I asked Sister Zahner to choose an apprentice outside the same day. That's the plan. Maybe the little guy named Yi Chen could really surrender Swire Dragon's soul. At this moment, Yi Chen, who caused the storm, was hiding in a mountain stream and counting his spoils. When all the contents in Qiong's storage bag were poured out, Rao was shocked by his fixation. The shiny objects piled up into a small hill, and he was dazzled by the sight, just a spiritual stone. There are more than 500,000. The young master of the Qi family in southern Xinjiang is indeed rich in oil. Yi Chen sighed, this match is worth the fight. Yo, here are the cats. Perhaps Shu was watching too much, and Yi Chen had never noticed that he was full of people behind him. Take a closer look, it was Shang Xie Yun and Qi Yu. One for each, take it yourself. Yi Chen did not hesitate. Well, Shang pounced on the first, and his whole body was lying on it, but Xie Yun kicked him out quickly. Soon, several people selected the baby, and then looked at Yi Chen brushing their eyes together. It all depends on what I do. Yi Chen took the baby and saw everyone staring at him, a little stunned. Do you know what it means to destroy Qi Yong? Xie Yun frowned at Yi Chen. What it means? It means that you will succeed him in Heng Yizong's ranking. To put it bluntly, you are now one of the 9 true biography of Heng Yu, that is, the 8th true biography disciple. Xie Yun laughed. You have to replace Qi Yong to take part in the 3 true disciple contests. Quote. As Xie Yun said, Yi Chen couldn't help but make a flick and touched his chin. It seems like this. He didn't think so much, but since Qi Yong was defeated in his hands, he will naturally replace Qi Yong in Heng Yizong's ranking, and he is qualified to participate in the 3 contests. Thinking of the 3 big comparisons, he could not help thinking of his old owner Zhengyong, and some unforgettable memories came to his mind inexplicably. I'm leaving first, Yi Chen thought in a hurry, leaving a sentence in a hurry, turned and walked towards Yunfeng. This kid has something in mind. Looking at the back of Yi Chen's departure, Xie Yun couldn't help whispering. Chapter 167, Strong Chu Zan. All the way back to Jade Peak, Yi Chen went to the summit loft. As soon as he entered the door, Yi Chen saw that in addition to his master Chu Zaner in the loft, there was an elder with a gloomy face in purple. Yi Chen. Seeing Yi Chen walk in, the elder in purple clothes suddenly stood up. His face was gloomy, his face was like frost, and his powerful momentum appeared suddenly. The sudden terror threatened Yi Chen by surprise and was almost crushed to the ground. Brother Yu, do you not exist as me? The cold voice sounded. Chu Xuan'er stood up, and the horrible momentum appeared, and he waved off the horrible coercion on Yi Chen. Humph! The elder purple snorted. Sister Chu, Yi Chen was seriously injured by my apprentice Qi Yang. You must cover him. As soon as this remark came out, Yi Chen could understand that this elder in purple was the first one in the inner gate of Tianshufeng and the master of Qi Yang, Jie Qing. He was so angry that he shot him because of the showdown of Fengyuntai not long ago. The master, this is to settle accounts. Where does brother Yu start from this point? Chu Xuan'er smiled. Fighting against each other, injuries are inevitable. Jie Qing turned blue with Chu Xuan'er's words. Both parties are willing. My disciples did not violate the rules, and they did not steal the scheme, but they started to do it a bit harder. Brother, you can't make such a move. Chu Xuan'er took a sip of tea and said, as for the younger generation, we should be the elders, so don't get involved. Quote. Well, both parties are willing. Jie Qing sneered. Sister and sister must have forgotten Qi Yang's identity. Brother, is this Qi family to press me? Chu Xuan'er glanced at Jie Qing. I'm just telling you a fact with Shimei. Jie Qing's face was even more gloomy. The young master of the Qi family in southern Xinjiang was almost killed by others. In this matter, you must give me not only an explanation, but also Qi home account. Quote. Accounting. Chu Xuan'er's expression became even colder. If you lose the fight, you will have to explain. If it was my apprentice who was maimed, would you give me an explanation? Brother Qi wants to explain. Let Qi Zhenshin come to me in person, as for you. Quote. Having said that, Chu Xuan'er looked at Jie Qing, and his tone was cold. As for you, I don't have to explain to you, and I warn you, dare to touch my disciples, I'm sure you can't go from Jade Girl Peak. Quote. Jie Qing was flushed for the second time. Aside, Yi Chen was a little dazed. He never thought of his master, and he had such a strong side. For him, he did not hesitate to make trouble with Jie Qing and Qi's family, which made him warm. Yi Chen, seeing off the guests. Chu Xuan'er said sharply. Yi Chen understood, looked at Jie Qing, stretched out his arms and pointed outward. Elder Yu, please. Okay, good. Jie Qing was very angry, his face was cold and scary, and he suddenly got up, striding out, and at the moment when he walked out of the door, he did not forget to look at Yi Chen with cold eyes. After sending Jie Qing away, Yi Chen turned around immediately and looked at Chu Xuan'er with a smile on his face. Master, I find you very charming when you're crazy. Boy, you have the courage. Chu Xuan'er looked at Yi Chen with a smile and said, would you like to start? I always do that. Yi Chen coughed. I shouldn't let you go down the mountain. You go down the mountain one at a time, and you go down the mountain one time at a time. As a teacher, I now especially doubt whether you are addicted to this thing. My name is once and for all. Yi Chen drew his ears. I will not let him lie on the bed for 2 months. He hasn't come to me every day. I have no time to talk to him. Yi Chen's words really amused Chu Xuan'er. She can see it. He is a baby apprentice who looks like a dog. In fact, he's not a good boy in his bones. He fights with people, and he fights against the disability. If he gives him the highest cultivation, it won't be the world. Chaos is strange. However, she was shocked from the bottom of her heart about Yi Chen's record today. Yi Chen, who had experienced the scourge of the sky, really couldn't match his strength. Even Qi Yang, who was the 8th true biography, was defeated. She is so happy that she is such a wicked apprentice. If it's okay, go to Fengyuntai less often. I don't want anyone to come to me to talk to me every day. Chu Xuan'er glanced at Yi Chen. Also, take a good rest today and I will have a task for you tomorrow. Task? What task? Yi Chen looked at Chu Xuan'er in doubt. Tomorrow you will know. Yi Chen responded and turned out of the attic. After Yi Chen left, Chu Xuan'er sat in a chair and rubbed his brows fiercely. There was such a restless disciple that she was destined not to be too peaceful in the future. Outside the door, Chu Linger came in and stretched out from the door. Sister, I just heard that boy said you want to let him go out tomorrow to perform the task. At this point, where do you want to send him? Quote. Zhao Guo, Emperor Zhao Guo sent someone to send a letter, and a mysterious evil force set off a ****** case in Zhao Guo more than once. It was preliminarily determined that the evil deeds had done it, and I wanted to ask Hengyu for help. I have so many people in Hengyuzong, you don't have to send Yi Chen. Chu Shuiner still looked at Chu Shuiner in confusion. He defeated Qi Yang, and of course he was one of Hengyu's 9 true disciples. He is going to take part in the 3 contests instead of Qi Yang. At that time, he will not come back to do so. Quote. Still, you meant it on purpose, and you didn't want Yi Chen to participate in the 3 contests. Chu Linger looked at Chu Zonner tentatively. You're half right. Chu Shuiner laughed. Yi Chen does have the qualification to participate in the 3 contests, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to participate. The Zhengyang school has a mystic body. I Hengyu will definitely lose. Yi Chen can't change this result if he goes alone. The mysterious body is too terrible. I don't want him to have too much pressure. This is one of them. Quote. Second, Yi Chen's talent is hard to come by for a century. I don't want him to be exposed to Zhengyang sect and Qing Yunzong prematurely. He is a buildable material with great potential. In the future, he may be the only one with whom the person with the body of the mysterious spirit stands by, or in other words, he is the future of my Hengyu. Quote. That's it. I didn't think so much. Chu Linger scratched his head. Of course, as a master, I also want him to meet the world. Chu Shuiner whispered a smile. So, I will assign this task to him. If he can come back before the 3 contests, I will naturally let him participate in the 3 contests. If he can't come back, someone will replace him to participate in the 3 contests. Let heaven decide this matter. But in a few days, the chance of him returning is very small, because according to the intelligence knows that the mysterious force that troubled Zhao Guo is not simple. Quote. Then you let him go alone. Aren't you afraid he will be destroyed by the strong? This is also a different kind of exercise. I believe he can stand alone. Chu Shuiner smiled sweetly. Chapter 168, Emperor. Back in the small bamboo forest, Yi Chen hid in the small bamboo house, and then pulled out the crescent pendant snatched from Qi Yang. This is what a baby. Holding the crescent pendant in front of his eyes, Yi Chen looked at it so closely for the first time. This pendant is crescent-shaped, crystal clear, bright, without any flaws, and there is a sense of warmth and coolness in addition to this. Apart from these, Yi Chen has found nothing strange. As before, Yi Chen took out the Zijin small gourd, and said that the crescent pendant was plugged in. Bo! Immediately, the crescent pendant that had just been plugged in was spit out in the next second, and the posture was still neat and clear, without any hesitation, so that there was no 2 seconds before and after the spit. What do you mean? Yi Chen froze for the first time, and it was the first time I saw Zijin gourd so crisply and spit out the stuffed stuff. However, the Zijin small gourd stood steadily. There was no reaction to Yi Chen's miserable expression, but he swallowed up the heaven and earth aura. Not a baby. Yi Chen touched his chin, then offered a fairy fire, wrapped the crescent pendant, and burned it for half an hour without any abnormal appearance. Not ordinary hardness. Yi Chen looked at the crescent pendant in surprise, and was able to persist for half an hour under the calcination of his fairy fire without melting or damaging, which made him somewhat surprised at the material of the crescent pendant. Next, Yi Chen received the fairy fire, and then summoned the black sky thunder. This is the baby you fancy, give me a little bit of movement. Then, Yi Chen wrapped the crescent pendant with Tianlei, and then stared straight at the change of the crescent pendant. However, half an hour has passed, and 1 hour has passed, and the crescent pendant has not changed at all. Nothing. Yi Chen couldn't help but curse, and the reason why he and Qi Yang went to Fengyuntai was because Tianlei saw this pendant. Now it's better. This pendant has nothing to do with the waste except for its hardness. Both. Yi Chen still gave up, cut through his hands, and dropped a drop of blood on it. Surprisingly, his blood was quickly absorbed by the crescent pendant, and even more surprisingly, a drop of his blood was absorbed in the last moment, and then vomited again in the next moment. You're awesome. Yi Chen was completely out of temper. Every time is happy. After wasting so much precious time, nothing was found out. Yi Chen was agitated, throwing the crescent pendant on the table at will, and then turned over to the alchemy furnace. Then, a piece of spirit grass flew out of the storage bag, all the materials needed for refining soul spirit. After doing this, he took a deep breath and shoved the fairy fire into the alchemy furnace. After allowing the fairy fire to burn in the alchemy furnace for a quarter of an hour, and after making sure that the alchemy furnace was warmed, Yi Chen began to put the herbs into it. The soul imprint of the performance from the soul spirit, he learned the soul spirit refining method, and then he knew the tediousness of refining the 3-grain spirit, which is far from comparable to the 2-grain spirit. This requires extremely fine flame control, it requires a high degree of coordination of soul power. Any small mistake will lead to the failure of alchemy. Fortunately, my soul has advanced to the Zon level, otherwise I can't really make soul spirit. While controlling the flames, Yi Chen muttered quietly. Although the steps of refining alchemy are cumbersome, through the deduction of Shanlin I, Yi Chen can easily understand the essence of refining soul spirit. Each step of refining alchemy is carried out in an orderly manner. With the soul of Xuanji, he is not too big. Pressure. Alchemy, anxious, this is a long process. As time passed, it was night. From time to time, the buzzing sound of the alchemy furnace is heard in the small bamboo forest, and the rich medicinal fragrance is also full of the small bamboo forest, refreshing. The night sky is deep, and broken stars are like dust. At this time, Zhao Guo, who did not know how far away from Heng Yizong, set off a bloodshed again. Over a night, a dozen villagers in ancient villages were killed. But strangely, the 1-year-old children in the village were disappear. Asshole. In the ancient majestic palace, there was an angry applause from Zhao Guo's emperor Zhao Yu. Your Majesty is out of wrath. General Hu Wei has already dispatched troops for hunting. Isn't Heng Yu's ferry yet? It's probably been this day or two. Chu Dan. Silent late at night, broken by a small fringe of Shaozhulan. Immediately afterwards, an aura of light rose from the bamboo house into the sky. Then, the fragrant and strong medicine fragrance spread rapidly from the bamboo house, covering the entire small bamboo forest. At this moment, Yi Chen's eyes looked brightly at a crystal-clear elixir in his hand, which had just been refined. It was still effervescent, and the blue halo lingered on it. Relaxed. One night's effort was really in vain. Although his face was pale, Yi Chen grinned and smirked alone to make a 3-line soul spirit. This moment is worth remembering. To commemorate this moment, I decided to eat you. Yi Chen grinned, and immediately sat on the bed, then summoned Qi Zixuan to stay beside him, and then stuffed the soul Dan into his mouth. Just like taking Ling Ling Dan for the first time, Ling Ling Dan melted into the body and melted away immediately, like a warm and cold spring flooding the whole body, soothing his tired soul, and replenishing the physical exhaustion. Suddenly, Yi Chen closed her eyes slightly. When the moon is clear, Xinghu is bright. Night, at this moment fell into silence again. However, Yi Chen, who had closed her eyes, didn't realize that Zizan's body was shaking, especially when she saw the crescent pendant on the table, and the eyes were empty. There was a flash of light passing by. Emperor. The voice didn't know where to start. There was nothing to say all night, and then dawn. Early in the morning, just when Yi Chen opened her eyes, Chu Zan'er came in. Master. Yi Chen, glorious, turned over and jumped out of the bed, absorbing the second soul spirit, which made him very full of spirit. The soul's mysterious state of cultivation was also completely consolidated after absorbing the second soul spirit. Chu Xuaner did not go to see Yi Chen, but narrowed his eyes and looked at Zizan, who was standing next to Yi Chen's bed. Why is this Kui here? Chu Xuaner looked at Yi Chen, and his tone was quite surprised. I bought it at Wanbao Pavilion outside the door. When I bought it, I only had one arm, and you know this puppet. Of course I know. Chu Xuaner looked at Qi Zixuan again, and said softly, she is the first generation of my Hengyu's puppet to train and teach. It is an experimental product and her ability is not perfect, so she is abandoned. Speaking of which, Zizan glanced at Yi Chen, did you upgrade her to Zon class? Otherwise, who else? Yi Chen grinned, Speaking of upgrading, he had a pain in his face, in order to upgrade her to Zon level, but it cost me 1.3 million spirit stones. 1.3 million. Rao was Chu Shuner's determination, and was surprised when he heard this number. Boy, you are quite rich. Borrow, hee 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 hee. Borrow, I think it's robbed. There are also grabs. Yi Chen grinned. These days he did not grab less, and indeed did not grab less, otherwise there is no money to upgrade. Well, let's be serious. Chu Shuner stopped talking with Yi Chen, and then handed a file to Yi Chen. Inside it is all the information about Zhao Guo's evil force. Zhao Guo. Yi Chen froze. In his early years doing intelligence work at Zhengyangzong, he naturally heard that this country is a mortal kingdom more than 1,000 miles away from Hengyuzong. The Shushan gates such as Hengyu, Zhengyang, and Qingyan have affiliated mortal kingdoms within their sphere of influence. These kingdoms are protected by Shushan gates, and they also tribute some rare treasures every year. As Yi Chen knows, there are 23 affiliated countries within the sphere of influence of the Hengyu sect. Qingyan sect is 27, Zhengyang sect is the largest, and there are as many as 37. It is one of the hundreds of mortal nations in the vast Shu. Of course, the three cases had long agreed that monks should not participate in mortal conquests, as it has been in all dynasties. Master, did you let me go to Zhao Guo to perform the task? Yi Chen tentatively looked at Chu Shuner. Look at the information before talking. Chu Shuner said lightly. Chapter 169, One Move. Hearing that, Yi Chen opened the file, glanced at it, and narrowed his eyes immediately. After looking at it, he looked at Chu Shuner again. The evil forces mentioned in the information are monks. I don't know. Chu Shuner shook his head gently. When he arrived at Zhao Guo, he found out and then started. If a really powerful monk is at work, don't be reckless against the enemy. Talking, Chu Shuner has taken out 4 spirit charms from his sleeve, 1 blue, 1 purple and 2 yellow, and shoved it into Yi Chen's hand. The blue one is the sky-level amulet. Once opened, the general spiritual realm is gone. I have to catch up with you, but the time is limited and can only last for a quarter of an hour. The purple one is the mysterious stealth technique. If you are in danger, you can stick it on your body and use the vitality to urge it. The general spiritual realm is also difficult to find. The yellow charm is sealed with a strange gate trapped in the sky. If there is an invincible strong, you can unlock its restrictions and trap the general spiritual realm. Quote, Thank you, Master. Yi Chen grinned as he held 3 magic charms. In addition to the 3 magical charms, Chu Shuner handed a jade bamboo slip to Yi Chen. This jade bamboo seal is sealed with 1,000-mile pass sound curse. If you are in danger, or if you encounter an irresistible strongman, you can use this curse to Zongman asked for help. Quote, And this good thing. Yi Chen grinned. Let's go. Chu Shuner gently waved his hand. Complete the task and return to the ancestors immediately. Succeed. Yi Chen turned his hands and collected 3 amulets, and also took away Zizan. Before leaving, he did not forget to put the crescent pendant on the table around his neck. Master, you don't want to be foolish. Yi Chen grinned, and turned and ran out of Shaojufang. Looking at Yi Chen's back, Chu Shuner sighed secretly. Little man, can you come back in time for the 3 contests? It depends on your fortune. After the Yunbi Peak, Yi Chen went straight to the outer gate of Hengyuzong. Yi Chen returned to the door. Yi Chen just appeared on the outer door. This sentence seemed to have wings and filled the entire outer door. Have you heard? Yi Chen defeated Qi Yong yesterday. Qi Yong, the 8th true biography of the Hengyuzong, is the 8th. This is a precedent that I have never had since the establishment of Hengyu. Along the way, Yi Chen listened most to the sound of argument and surprise, but wherever he went, the outside disciples would give him a tacit understanding to make a way for him. Today, Yi Chen has not just entered Hengyuzong that day. That condensed apprentice. Yi Chen was walking. A violent drinking suddenly sounded. A figure had already blocked Yi Chen's way. A closer look, it was the purple shirt of Di Yangfang. His eyes were **** red. His expression was bleak, and he looked at Yi Chen with his teeth gritted, and he could not tear Yi Chen on the spot. The purple shirt suddenly blocked Yi Chen's way, causing a lot of disciples to watch. the grievances of the two people, the entire disciples did not know. At this time the enemy met, the smell of gunpowder was very strong. However, Yi Chen didn't squint and walked straight by. He never heard of the drunkenness of the purple shirt. You are arrogant. Ignored by Yi Chen, the purple shirt was furious, immediately raised his palm into a knife, and slanted it to Yi Chen. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes were cold, and he stepped forward immediately. Everyone saw the ghostly figure passing by, and the palm of the purple shirt couldn't even touch the corner of Yi Chen's clothes. Boom! As a roar rang, the last moment was still standing in the purple shirt. The next moment, the entire body was inlaid into the hard rock wall, and Yi Chen was still holding his neck with one hand. Okay. So strange weirdness. The disciples opened their mouths one after another, and didn't speak for a while. No, it's impossible. Here, Yi Chen's purple shirt with his neck around his eyes stood out, looking at Yi Chen with an unbelievable look. He didn't even see how Yi Chen shot. He couldn't. Accepted. Yi Chen could not accept such a strong, so that he did not have the slightest resistance. Yi Chen's face was as cold as frost, and her face gently touched the purple shirt's ears, and said coldly, "This time, I will enter your brain with water. If there is another time, I don't mind destroying you." The purple shirt on the forehead of the purple shirt was exposed and wanted to speak, but his neck was pinched and he couldn't say a word. At this moment, there was a buzz in the direction of Diong Peak, and the powerful momentum appeared instantly. Feeling that Jie Hong was about to make a move, Yi Chen released his purple shirt, and then glanced towards Di Yangfeng, as if he could see the figure standing on the top of the mountain through the misty clouds. Elder Jie, be optimistic about your disciples, and next time, don't blame me for being ruthless. Yi Chen slowly looked back and walked down the mountain. Yi Chen. At the peak of Diong, Jie Hong's face was somber and scary, and the fist in his sleeve clapped, and his eyes were full of cold murderous power. Naturally, in addition to Jie Hong, Jia Lutang and Ren Yangfeng, Zhao Zhujing and Qingyang's real faces were also gloomy enough, but Zhang Yangdao of Ren Yangfeng covered his heart fiercely, yelling for pain. An episode passed. Yi Chen followed the stone steps to the small spiritual park on the mountainside. Seeing Yi Chen's return, the trembling Zhang Fengnian and the tiger baby who was dancing the black iron rod came up with smiles. The younger Yi Chen, I've seen the seniors. For Zhang Fengnian, Yi Chen still understood the etiquette. What predecessor is not a predecessor? He is born. Zhang Fengnian smiled kindly. Big brother, what is the inner door like? Hu, with a small head, looked at Yi Chen with his eyes shining. Very big. Yi Chen touched Hua's small head, but said two words straight. After a shiver, Yi Chen came to the rock wall of the Shaolingyuan, waved the half of the Tianji Dan hidden in it, and put it in front of Shanlin. As he expected, through the eyes of Shanlin, he deduced the imprint of the soul hidden in Tianjiden, but what made him mistaken was that from the imprint of the soul, he found that the person who made Tianjiden turned out to be a white-haired young man with a mask. It's the Tianji Dan he's made. Yi Chen was full of wonder. Although he could not see the appearance of the white-haired young man, he determined that the white-haired young man was a high-ranking Danshan and Shufu's alchemist. Soon, Yi Chen obtained all the methods of refining Tianji Dan. Yi Chen was surprised to find that refining Tianji Dan actually required more than 500 spirit grasses, and that there were several names of spirit grasses. He said that he did not even hear it. No wonder Tianji Dan is so difficult to practice. Yi Chen murmured, only these 500 kinds of spirit grass may not be all together. Soon, Yi Chen took the half of Tianji Dan again. Although I know the refining method of Tianji Dan, his soul level is far from enough. If he wants to refine Tianji Dan, his soul level must at least be advanced to heaven, otherwise it cannot be completed. I'll talk about this later. Slightly turning, Yi Chen walked out of the Xiaoling garden, leaving a lot of resources for practice before leaving. Chapter 170, Alley. All the way down the Heng Yizong's Lingshan, Yi Chen took out a black robe and put it on his body, and took out a cape belt, which summoned the fairy fire, let it turn into a cloud of fairy fire, and then turned towards one. 1,000 miles away, Zhao Guofei went. 6 hours later he fell from the air. Not far away, it is a small village. Although it is at night, it still can see the beautiful scenery around. However, The small village at this time was quiet and terrible, full of scars, and there was a thick air in the air, and even the blowing wind seemed to be mournful. This should be Shan village. Yi Chen rolled out the map and looked at a small village in front of him. After receiving the map, Yi Chen walked into the small village gently, and found that the land under his feet was red, and some blood had not dried up. Very horrible, Yi Chen chirped coldly, his face frosty. No wonder he was so, because all along the way, all he saw were collapsed houses and blood-stained bamboo. He could imagine what kind of scene this small village was when it was slaughtered. Although he is a monk, he should ask with one heart, but he knows that the so-called monk is also changed by people. Everyone has all minds, all people have good and evil, and the tragic death of innocent people. As a monk, it's hard to tolerate. All are innocent people, who is so ruthless? As he said, Yi Chen kept searching in the houses, hoping to find clues. However, after this lap turned down, he did not find the slightest. The people who shot were very cautious, leaving no clue. Helpless, he had to leave. Next, he followed the intelligence instructions and went to a dozen other small villages in the slaughtered village, but still found nothing. At this moment, night has come. Yi Chen appeared in a small village that was only slaughtered in the last time. It was really miserable. As a monk, his soul advanced to the mystery, and it was easy to find heavy grievances in the village. Okay. As he walked, Yi Chen frowned slightly, soul swings. Immediately, he followed the faint soul wave, and stopped only under a withered peach tree. In the distance, he saw an elusive figure floating there. His body was transparent, and it was faintly visible that it was a 12-year-old girl, confused and lingering under the peach tree. Soul. Yi Chen's eyes narrowed slightly, and he saw the category to which the girl belonged. The so-called soul is an incomplete soul, but it has certain characteristics of the soul. Monks have souls, and mortals have souls. After the death of mortals, the soul will also disappear, but any soul that can still exist in the heavens and the earth must have a strong mind. This mind can be obsession and resentment, which means that they still love the world. Will dissipate. Thinking in this way, Yi Chen stepped forward. She was walking with the wind, so that the soul girl's elusive body fluttered a little. Little sister, were you from this village before you died? Yi Chen asked tentatively, looking at the soul of the girl. Hearing Yi Chen talking to herself, the girl looked at Yi Chen with a look of confusion, nodded, and shook her head a little unconsciously. Yi Chen was not surprised by the girl's answer. Even though souls with powerful minds can persist in the world for a while, most of the memories of their lives will be in a state of muddiness. What they can remember is only what they were attached to during their lifetime, and what they were attached to was also their source of powerful thoughts. What's your name? Yi Chen's tone was as gentle as possible, hoping to find some clues from the girl's mouth. Ah, Ali. The girl looked at Yi Chen tremblingly, as if she felt a dangerous breath from Yi Chen, making her imaginary body curl up together, like a frightened child. Do you remember what the people who slaughtered you looked like? Yi Chen asked again. Blood clothes, crimson clothes. Yi Chen frowned slightly. According to Ali, the evil forces that slaughtered the village were wearing blood-colored clothes. Although the amount of information was small, it was a bit of a gain. How many people are they? Yi Chen asked again, hoping to get more information. However, Ali was confused, and then only shook his head. Next, Yi Chen asked a lot of questions, but most of Ali's memories of his lifetime were just shaking his head. Apart from the clothes, he didn't get more information. Little sister, do you have any outstanding wishes? In the end, Yi Chen gave up questioning the evil force, and instead asked about the things that Ali was attached to. Although he had a relationship with Ali Fei, I don't want to see this fragile girl as a lonely ghost in this desolate place. I'm waiting for my brother. This time, the girl said clearly. Under the moonlight, Ali's two little hands were crossed on his chest, and his smile was bright. Planted this peach tree, let me wait here for him to come back. Quote. It's just that I waited for 10 years and didn't see my brother return. At this point, Ali lowered his head slightly. Looking at the lonely Ali, Yi Chen had only silently. Even if a young girl died, she did not want to leave her hometown, and her dedication was to wait for the return of her only relative. It's just, sometimes something is so cruel. Perhaps, Ali's brother had already died in the battlefield and turned into a pile of dead bones. Poorly she was still waiting, even if she became a soul, she had to wait. Sometimes, as a monk, he also had to admire the mortal obsession. The peach blossom tree blossomed every year. The 10-year period may be a snap for monks, but for Ali, it is 3 times. More than 1,000 misses day and night. Brother, Ali misses you. When Yi Chen sighed, Ali's erratic soul curled up again in peach blossom tree, holding his knees in both hands, extremely weak, and regretted it. Come with me, I'll take you to find your brother. Yi Chen finally spoke. Although he was not a savior, he didn't want this fragile girl to be so miserable and become a lonely ghost. I can't go. What can I do if my brother can't find me when he comes back? Ali shook his head slightly, sitting under the peach tree with his knees. Hey, Yi Chen sighed helplessly, but did not force it, but turned silently, and after taking a few steps, turned around again, looking at the pitiful little girl under the peach tree, and asked, Little sister, your brother, what is your name? Yang Fan. Yang Fan. Yi Chen murmured, and finally glanced at Ali, then he turned and disappeared into the night. Chapter 171. Yi Chen's Actions. Late at night, the palace of Zhao Guo Palace. A straight figure stood upright, wearing a dragon robe, but with a sad look, the whiteness of the fist in his sleeve, and the sadness mixed with helplessness. This person is Emperor Zhao Guo, Zhao Yu. Your Majesty, the end will do his best. In front of Zhao Yu, a middle-aged man in armor was kneeling on one knee. The army of 100,000 troops swept across 100 miles and found no trace of those people. It's not your fault. Zhao Yu took a deep breath. Those people should not be mortals. Even the national divisions were killed. The mortal armies are gone in vain. As soon as Zhao Yu's words fell, a ghostly figure appeared like the wind and appeared in front of the two. This person, needless to say, was Yi Chen, who sneaked into the palace. You. Zhao Yu narrowed his eyes sharply. Who are you? Aside, the man in armor also pulled out the long sword at his waist instantly, blocking Zhao Yu. Yi Chen didn't speak, but just took out a token, and there was aura lingering on the token, and the word, Hengyu, was also engraved on it. Seeing that Hengyu's token, Zhao Yu and the middle-aged man wearing armor changed their looks, and respectfully saluted. I have seen Hengyu Shangxian. I'm not a fairy, Yi Chen said. After receiving the Hengyu token, he never took off his headband and black robe. Please also help the immortal to rescue me, Zhao Guoliman. Zhao Yu's emotion seemed too excited, and he knelt before Yi Chen. In the mortal kingdom, he was the honor of the 9th 5-year plan, but in front of Yi Chen, but just a weak mortal. I will find out the true murderer. Yi Chen offered a gentle force, dragged Zhao Yu off the ground, and then asked, what about your master? The master of Yi Chen's mouth is also a member of the Hengyu sect. Each sect will send a disciple to be a master in the kingdom of mortals. Their cultivation is not high, but in the eyes of these mortals, it is a supreme existence. On the one side, the middle-aged man in armor had come up with a jade box, and in the jade box was a blood-stained robe. On the robe, Hengyu, was clearly written. Word. Seeing this, Yi Chen frowned sharply, looked at Zhao Yu and said in a deep voice, your report did not say that the disciples I sent to Zhao Guo from Hengyu have died. Shangxian Mingzhan. Zhao Yucheng was frightened. Yesterday, the state teacher went out for inspections and has not returned. I and others sent someone to look for it, but when I found the state teacher, there was only this robe left. Yi Chen didn't say anything. He secretly said that Zhao Guogo might have discovered something, but he had no strength. Instead of surrendering the evil force, he became a ghost of the sword, leaving only a blood-stained robe. Thinking like this, Yi Chen has gently picked up the blood-stained robe, and the light in his eyes has become uncertain. The cultivation of the human realm is only one Taoist robe. Yi Chen's thoughts fluttered, he felt his chin, and secretly analyzed it. So, that evil force is at least someone who cultivates in the realm of the realm, or it may be the practice of the real realm. It may also be a spiritual realm, and it must not be an empty realm. As he wondered in his heart, Yi Chen had put the blood-stained robe in front of his nose and sniffed lightly. The robe had a strong smell, but under the thick smell, there was a very sensitive smell. Elixir. Isn't it the alchemist that shot? Yi Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. As an alchemist, he was very sensitive to the smell of elixir, and there was a faint smell of medicine on the robe of his hand. Putting down the blood-stained robe, Yi Chen was lost in thought. Just take away the children who are 1 year old, is it necessary to take them to refining the alchemy? Yi Chen thought of an evil alchemy method that Shu Fu had said, that is, he needed a child who was 1 year old to do medicine. For a long time, Yi Chen didn't speak again. Aside, Zhao Yu and the middle-aged man in armor were standing there silently, and the atmosphere did not dare to say a word. After all, it was Zhao Yu who broke the silence in a sentence, Shangxian, but, have any clues been found? Bring Zhao Guo's map, Yi Chen said. Soon, the middle-aged man in armor hurriedly pulled out a huge map from his arms, and then hung on the wall as Yi Chen ordered. Yi Chen stepped forward, silently staring at Zhao Guo's map. The dozens of places scanned were villages that had been slaughtered in recent days. Those villages were not very far away, and some were still next to each other. After a long time, Yi Chen looked away from the map, looked at the middle-aged man in armor, and asked, "Are you a general?" Returning to Shangxian, General Qin Shang is the general of Hu Wei, who is Zhao Guo. The middle-aged man in armor said respectfully. Then talk about it as your general. Although Qin Shang was mistaken, he took a deep breath and came to the map. He pointed out several villages where the tragedy happened, and said, from the location and orientation of the tragedy, the people who shot were from south to north. One village was slaughtered one after another. Obviously, they considered themselves strong, so they were unscrupulous. Quote, "Keep talking," Yi Chen said lightly. Qin Shang nodded, and then pointed out several places. If you look at the route of their slaughter village, these villages should be the next. If Shangxian shot, these places must be top priority. At what time were more than a dozen villages slaughtered? Yi Chen looked at Qin Shang. Zishi, Qin Shang said with certainty, according to the final guess, that evil force seems to appear only at night. The blood-colored clothes only appeared in childhood. Yi Chen touched his chin, and his eyes flashed with deep eyes. Will it not be a blood witch? Yi Chen thought of a strange race, which is a branch of the ancient Wu tribe. It was called an evil wanderer by the decent monks. It has always been a child at night, and it human blood to make a living. The means are extremely cruel. But what is the smell of the elixir on that robe? Yi Chen groaned secretly. Will it be a high-ranking alchemist who raised a blood witch in captivity? If so, it would be much more complicated. After groaning for a long time, Yi Chen turned and looked at Zhao Yu. 3 things. First, before the hour, centered on the villages pointed out by General Qin, the villagers within 50 miles of the village moved at the fastest speed. Go out. Second, withdraw the Zhao Guo army sent out for search. Those people may be monks, and you are strangled as much as possible. Third, be sure to sprinkle fire in various villages before today's child hour, the more the better. Quote, I'll do it now. Qin Shang was furious, and immediately went out, just took a step, turned back, and looked at Yi Chen awkwardly. Well, dare to ask the immortal, what's the fire? Quote, Hoyan is the yin powder extracted from the yan yensha in your mouth. This kind of thing, and even the sun can resist the evil yan. Xie Shenxian. Qin Shang bowed his hand and turned out of the golden palace. After Qin Shang left, Yi Chen stood quietly again on that huge map, and his deep eyes lighted every mountain and river on the huge map, as if he were looking for something. Shangxian, are you alone? Zhao Yu asked tentatively behind him. Are you afraid I'm not sure about those evil forces? Yi Chen said lightly. Suddenly, Zhao Yu panicked. I didn't mean that. Yi Chen smiled, but did not answer. His gaze was still sweeping around Zhao Guo's map. After all, his gaze was fixed on a mountain, and there was still light shining in his eyes, because the terrain around that mountain was very wonderful, surrounded by 3 mountains and a mountain standing in the middle. Such a terrain was, according to their monks, the Sanyukiti, maybe breeding ground veins. The so-called earth vein is a kind of earth vein. It absorbs the essence of the earth and gathers the kind of spirit vein. The mortal dwelling can prolong life, and the monk dwelling Among the nearly 100 mortal kingdoms in Dachu, although Zhao Guo's territory is not very large, there are many stretches of mountains, and the situation of Sanyu's strange land can appear. Yi Chen is not surprised. Naturally, it is not unreasonable for him to stare at the Sanyu Kiti, because it is a good place for alchemy. The essence of the sun and the moon, the source of qi from the ground, and the refined elixir must be top grade. If there is really a mysterious alchemist controlling the blood witch, then Sanyu must have hidden mystery. Yi Chen touched his chin. Shangxian. Aside, Zhao Yu yelled tentatively when he saw Yi Chen muttering alone. Say something. I have been ordered to host a banquet in honor of Xian, and also ask Shang to move to Fenghuang Pavilion. No time to eat now. Yi Chen turned around and walked towards the outside. When passing Zhao Yu, he patted his shoulder lightly and smiled. You are a good emperor, worrying about the country and the people. You don't have to eat, it's important to save people. Quote. Talking, Yi Chen has already walked out of the Golden Hall. Chapter 172, Blood Witch. An old book lover who added, A Mortal Emperor, to the bookshelf before May 3rd, and see if his chapters have been refreshed. Take this chapter for comparison. Chapter 275. Host Legend right, that chapter is correct. If it doesn't work, it's not refreshed. The wrong solution. Delete, A Mortal Emperor Xian, from the bookshelf, and then add, A Mortal Emperor Shanwu, to the bookshelf again. In April, the Immortal Emperor Wushan was revised a little to avoid confusion for everyone. I still hope that everyone can read from chapter 261 and see where to update. Relive the plot when it's boring. Under special circumstances, the following words are posted in the main text, delaying everyone to look at it for more than 10 seconds. ... Not quiet under the night sky. Viewed from the air, Zhao Guo's army marched at night and was recalled by a decree. The people led by Qin Shang also rushed into the villages. Noisy voices were unavoidable, but when they heard that it was an imperial decree, the villagers dared not to violate it, and stepped away with Zhao Guo's army temporarily. At the same time, the voice of war horses screamed everywhere in Zhao Guo, and a car fire was sent to all parts of the country at night. Wherever people lived, they would be sprayed with fires dedicated to driving evil spirits. At this moment, among the rolling hills of Zhao Guo, a mountain peak soaring into the clouds, an old man with a purple robe was seated. The man was skinny and emaciated, but he had red hair and blood, and it was very strange. If he looked at his eyes carefully, he would be cyanotic, because it was a pair of eerie pupils. Beside him, there was a 3-foot-sized alchemy furnace, and the blazing flame in the alchemy furnace turned out to be a ****** flame. Old guy, do you know who I am? I'm the third lady from Shengyu's house in Dongyu. The cold drinking sound came from the alchemy furnace, and it was not small. Dongyu Shangguan. The old man in the purple robe heard it, but just dismissed it. His eyes seemed more gloomy. I advise you to let me out obediently, otherwise I will never let you go to Shangguan. Noise. The old man in the purple robe snorted and waved his sleeve of blood into the alchemy furnace, sealed the person inside, and said, Yes, I will become the blood-stealing Yuandan, the first to destroy your Shangguan family. At night, Yi Chen drove the clouds of fairy fire and landed in an ancient town. Hurry up, bring the kids. Don't take it with you, leave with the army. Just after falling, Yi Chen heard the sounds one after another. From a distance, the shadows of this ancient town spurred the soldiers in armor to run back and forth, picking up the villagers from house to house, and then sending them to the carriage arranged in advance to transfer elsewhere. After an hour, the ancient town was empty. Shangxian. Qin Shang came over, saluting Yi Chen respectfully. The villagers in several villages were transferred out, and the people within 50 miles were sent to the north. Not slow. Yi Chen smiled slightly. Shangxian is here to wait for the rabbit. Qin Shang looked at Yi Chen tentatively. No way, I have only one person, and I have no skills. Yi Chen smiled helplessly. Since they will come to this village sooner or later, I will wait for them here. The end will be willing to help the fairy. Qin Shang looked at Yi Chen with a firm look. Yi Chen waved his hand and smiled. You are a mortal general in a mortal kingdom, but this time you are not able to participate. I will take your kindness and leave. Qin Shang had no choice but to bow his hand and worship and turn to leave, but was stopped by Yi Chen again. General Qin, ask you about someone. Qin Shang was stunned, but he did not expect that the fairy in his eyes would ask him about it, but Rao was so respectful, please say to Shangxiang. It was about 10 years ago. You have heard of a young man named Yang Fan. Yi Chen said the name of his elder brother. He still wanted to inquire about the whereabouts of that weak girl. Of course I heard that. Qin Shang nodded, but sighed, his face full of nostalgia, as if remembering a long time ago. I was not General Zhao Guota 10 years ago, just the little captain. The young man named Yang Fan is a soldier of my Hui army. Quote. Speaking of this, Qin Shang looked a little bit sad. Although he was a child, he fought bravely, but once he fought against the Wei kingdom. He was unfortunately captured, and 300,000 Wei soldiers came to my Zhao Guohu prison, and as captives. He was just hung in front of the Wei state army, and he was cut off bone and bone with a sword. Quote. Qin Shang said, his fists clenched tightly, and his vicissitudes of eyes contained tears that had never shed. Yi Chen was silent, just listening quietly. My Qin Shang Rong Ma's life impressed me the most. There were only 2 of them, and the young man named Yang Fan was one of them. Qin Shang said with tears, he is only 15. Ling Kai who was stabbed with a knife, but he never screamed, and even Lethal laughed. Quote. Hey, Yi Chen sighed, the fact is as he expected. Ali's brother is indeed dead. Poor little girl who waited for 10 years, even if she turned into a soul, still waiting for her brother. He can imagine the scene where a 15-year-old teenager was killed by the most cruel torture. How sad the picture is. Inexplicably, Yi Chen had a sadness in his heart. This world is so cruel, the battles between mortal kingdoms, the icy battlefield, I do not know how many dead bones were buried. The monk's world is not like this. It looks bright and beautiful, but there is always danger of death. Qin Shang left, and his tough back seemed a bit lonely. He was a General Zhao Guota holding 1,000,000 male soldiers, but this supreme position was exchanged with the blood of General Zhao Guo. Hey, looking at the back of Qin Shang leaving, Yi Chen sighed again. After Qin Shang's figure completely disappeared into sight, he then moved and jumped into a small 2-story attic, hiding the window, hiding his breath, and quietly waiting for the evil force to come. The night sky was dark and there were only a few stars shining with dim stars. Time is waiting to pass slowly, approaching the child infinitely. After all, Yi Chen hiding in the second-floor small attic, his eyes narrowed slightly, and saw a few ghostly figures sneaking into this ancient town. He was wearing blood, covered with a ghost head mask, and was exuding blood. Faintly visible are their eyes, gloomy and bloodthirsty. It really is a blood witch. Yi Chen flashed a cold light in his eyes, but he did not immediately appear. 2 true sun realms, 10 personal realms. A glance at those blood witches, Yi Chen quickly saw the cultivation of this evil force. The lineup is not small, it is no wonder that he is a permanent teacher in Zhao Guo. Disciple Yu will die tragically. Quote. Why no one? Yi Chen was thinking. The 12 people below gathered together from all directions. Go to the next village. The thin-bodied blood witch, led by him, immediately ordered that he leave the ancient town to go to the next village. However, at this moment, Yi Chen, who was hiding in the attic, moved like a ghost, and Ling Tian split it down. Puff! Immediately, a blood witch of one's original realm was split in half on the spot. Monk! A sudden scene left a blood witch apart and surrounded Yi Chen in the middle, but when he realized that Yi Chen Shu was only in the realm of human beings, he smiled and bloodthirsty again. Oh, obediently, I will give you a happy way to die. Yi Chen looked coldly at a group of blood witches. The realm of people, seek death. One of the blood witches in the real sun realm snorted like a wind, and raised his hand was a big handprint. On the handprint, there was a blood-colored witch pattern. Seeing this, Yi Chen did not retreat, he punched the mountain with a strong punch, and spit the blood witch in the true sun back. Many blood witches were shocked. Let's go together. Immediately, 11 blood witches gathered around. Yi Chen sneered, and took out the Qishao sword, and the immortal fire wrapped the Qishao sword. The blood which belonged to Yin, and the immortal fire, even the thing just to the sun, used the immortal fire to restrain the blood witch. Sure enough, the golden fairy fire appeared, causing many blood witches to stagnate subconsciously. In this brief moment, Yi Chen had already moved. His mysterious body movement was between a blood witch. Every time he took a shot, one's head was chopped off by his sword. When he stopped, his body was left. The two blood witches cultivated by the two true sun realms. Blood curse. The two blood witches in the true sun spit out a drop of blood in sequence, and then quickly moved the fingerprints. Chapter 173, Reopen. Suddenly, 2 drops of blood and blood appeared on the ground, and a blood-colored line was drawn on the ground. These lines, quickly connected, formed a blood line. In the blood array, Yi Chen clearly felt that the blood in his body was written, and that the blood array also had the ability to restrain the true energy. Blood curse, good. Yi Chen flashed in his eyes, but you want to suppress me with this, you are far from doing well. Open. With Yi Chen's frivolity, Dan Hai's infuriating blast burst out, infused into the major meridians of the whole body. The power gathered very close, and then broke through the imprisonment of the witch's blood curse. Seeing this, the appearances of the 2 real blood witches in the real sun changed, and they used magical tools, their eyebrows flickering with blood. Hum. The next moment, a ******* Linglong Tower and a ****** Spirit Mirror flew into the air, quickly becoming huge, overflowing with terrible blood, and a kind of sickening blood. Suppression. The 2 blood witches, Ling Tian, Imperial weapon, fell down. Yi Chen's eyes were cold, and he turned his hands to take out the iron whip dedicated to beating the soul. He whipped out, and Junfei flew the ***** exquisite tower. He turned the ***** Spirit Mirror with a whip. What? The 2 blood witch souls were wounded and their eyes were blackened. Yi Chen moved, and 3 or 2 steps killed him in front of a blood witch. A fist of 8 wastes drenched his bones, and his hands turned to be a dragon. The blood witch stepped back, but he had not stopped his figure. On the face is a golden flame finger. Puff. The blood flower splattered, and the blood witch was penetrated by Yi Chen's eyebrow on the spot. His mind was worn away, and his soul dissipated and fell to the ground. On the other side, the last blood witch saw Yi Chen being so arrogant that he didn't even think about it. He turned around directly, and escaped like a blood light. Where to go? Yi Chen took a mysterious step and overtook 3 or 2 steps. Qishao's sword appeared in his hands immediately. One sword was cut out, and the blood witch almost split. Scared, he crawled up. With the buzzing sound, a battle spear appeared in Yi Chen's hand, which was suddenly thrown out by him. The blood witch who had just climbed up was punctured on the spot and was nailed to the wall. Who sent you to kill the villagers and take the children away? Yi Chen came slowly, staring coldly at the blood witch. No one instructed. The blood witch looked at Yi Chen in horror. It seems you are not good. Yi Chen sneered, suspending the golden fairy fire in the palm of his hand, turning it into a flame sword, piercing the blood witch's shoulder on the spot. The blood witch screamed. The immortal fire was too domineering, centered on the wound, spreading rapidly, eroding the blood in his body, melting his blood and bones. This pain was tantamount to Ling Qi's torture. I say, the blood witch hurriedly begged for mercy. We haven't seen him yet, we just took the children and sent them to. Before the words of the blood witch were finished, there was a sharp light shot from one side, and the power was unmatched. Yi Chen looked for a moment, then suddenly took out the sword. LB. The ***** man hit the Tianjian sword impartially. On the spot, Yi Chen only felt numbness in his arms for a while, and lost his consciousness instantly. The force of the backlash made his throat sweet, and a blood spurted out. The whole person stepped back and forth 4 or 5 feet. There was a deep footprint on the ground. The imagination is heavy. Yi Chensheng stopped his steps and looked diligently into the darkness. There, a blurry figure was slowly coming, all covered under the blood robe, could not see its honor, but could only see a pair of gloomy blood eyes, and his surging blood. Blood, respect. When I saw you, the blood witch nailed to the wall by the war spear hurriedly drew out the war spear that had been inserted in his body, and dangled at the feet of the blood-robed man, shaking trembling. "Waste, what do you want?" The blood-robed man smiled faintly, raising his arm slightly, pressing his sharp claws on the blood witch's heavenly cover. "Blood respect lives, blood respect lives." The blood witch looked terrified. However, he begged for mercy, but in return, the blood-robed man smiled miserably. "What, soon?" The scream of the blood witch sounded. His blood was swallowed by the blood-robed man, and the whole body dried up at a speed visible to the naked eye until it was swallowed into a dead body. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes froze a little, not far away, and looked dignified again. "Boy, you surprised me." The blood-robed man who swallowed the blood witch's blood twisted his neck with a look of joy. A pair of gloomy eyes looked at Yi Chen, making people look all over. "Bun." Yi Chen frowned, thinking whether it was time to turn around and set foot on the cloud of fairy fire to escape, because the blood robes were too powerful. However, this idea was quickly dispelled by him. Although he is not a savior, he still has a kind heart. As a monk, if he retreats at this time, he can think of what a catastrophe it is to meet Zhao Guoli tonight. He doesn't want to see mortals in the hands of blood witches. A moment's faltering made him resolutely determined to stay. Although the blood robes are strong, he is not without a battle. The main thing is that he also has the life-saving charm given to him by Chu Xuaner. It's the disciple of Heng Yizong again. Here, the blood-robed man has come slowly, looking at Yi Chen with a playful look, as the Heng Yizong people so arrogant. "Send a person come here." Quote, "Be careful overturning the boat in the gutter." Yi Chen snorted, stepping out immediately, Qishao sword in hand, a thunder sword like Chenghong Guanri, slamming into the blood-robed man's brows. "I can't help it." The blood-robed man smiled disdainfully, and immediately raised his arm and stretched out 2 fingers. Ha! Immediately, Yi Chen's thunder sword was caught by him easily. LB. With the flick of the man in the blood robe, Kai Shao's sword buzzed. Yi Chen was also shaken back on the spot. Ha! The shock retreated Yi Chen, and the blood-robed man stepped in 1 step, with a figure like a ghost and a quick wind, killing Yi Chen immediately. Puff, puff, puff. Soon, blood flashed out, and Yi Chen was caught by the blood-robed claws of the blood-stained claws, and Yi Chen flew out, and was covered with blood. Damn it! Yi Chen cursed. If at the peak, he was naturally not afraid of the blood robes, no wonder that at this time he was suppressed by the Moon Shadow 7-star ring, and his combat power could not be exerted. I forgot to ask the master to help me unlock the bracelet. Yi Chen gritted his teeth. Dan Hai rolled his blood and rolled, trying to forcibly break the ban on the Moon Shadow 7-star ring, but failed. This majestic chi and blood is really wonderful. As Yi Chen stepped back, the blood-robed man rushed out again with turbulent blood. Yi Chen snorted, and suddenly rushed forward again. A dragon knife appeared in his hand. He jumped up, holding the knife in both hands, splitting down forcefully. The blood-robed man is not an ordinary monk. The so-called Ben Lay Palm and shake the power of these mysterious techniques of Mountain Fist can't hurt him far, so if he wants to hurt him, he has to use big moves. Hum. As the space buzzed and shivered, a 5-foot-long dagger appeared suddenly. Mystery is good, but dowsing is far from perfect. The blood-robed man laughed with a grin, and patted it with his palm. LB. The sound of the metal collision was unusually crisp, and Yi Chen's horrible knife seemed to split on the stone. Not only did he not hurt the blood-robed man, even he was shaken and flew out. Wasting time. The blood-robed man laughed with a grin and reached out his palm, transfiguring a huge forest of sharp claws, pressing towards Yi Chen. Click, click. The huge claws were extremely powerful, and before they actually fell, the ground cracked, and the cracks spread out indefinitely. Puff. Yi Chen, who had just stood up, once again spit out blood, and his expression became extremely crazy instantly, forcing me. After that, he closed his eyes slightly. The next moment, he suddenly opened his eyes, and 2 lights flew out of his eyes. Woohoo! Woohoo! Suddenly, there seemed to be a scream of mournful sorrow, and a blast of magical spirits surged out of him. This breath was violently bloodthirsty and cold, sweeping the surrounding debris and wood. And at this moment, his form has also changed dramatically. His dark, thick hair turned blood at the speed visible to the naked eye, dark and deep eyes, covered with blood, and a magic pattern appeared at the center of his eyebrow. With the appearance of the magic pattern, his momentum suddenly climbed up. Boom! With a roar, Yi Chenshin Ling covered Cheng Hong Guantian and broke the huge claws. Here, the blood-robed man was taken a half-step back by shock, his eyes looked at Yi Chen slightly. Magic Road. Chapter 174, Fight Alongside. Kill. When the blood-robed man was horrified, Yi Chen had stepped on the bluestone slab under his foot, swooping at him with the rolling spirit of evil spirits, and the Qishao sword in his hand was replaced with the iron dedicated to hitting the soul. Whip. Although he was in a state of magic, his mind was basically blinded by addictive killing, but his solitary emptiness still understood one thing, that is, in the face of such a powerful blood-robed man, the iron whip is far better than Qishao is much more overbearing. I care if you are a man or a demon. Today you can't escape to death. The blood-robed man snorted coldly, killing him like a ghost, and a blood-colored killing sword appeared in his hand. Brows up. Yi Chen didn't defend, but just avoided the key points, letting the sword-hole man's sword hole penetrate his shoulder. Hum! The iron whip throbbed, hummed, and sturdily hit the head of the blood-robes. Well, the muffled hum of the blood-robe man sounded instantly, his eyes were darkened, and the corners of his eyes, nostrils, and ears were overflowing with blood, and he was smashed firmly by the iron whip, making his mind buzz suddenly. At this moment, Yi Chen was not idle, rushed forward and banged again with 3 whips, and the blood-robed man who had not yet stabilized his shape, stepped back again. Come again, Yi Chen yelled and threw an iron whip. You it. The man in the blood robe who recovered the Qingming roared and turned Yi Chenu out with one palm. Kill. As soon as he got up, Yi Chen rushed out again like a great demon. He seemed to be painless, covered with blood, but the spirit of the evil spirit was still surging, and his offensive was undiminished. Blood Day Finger. The man in the blood robe snorted coldly. A finger hole penetrated the space, and a fierce blood hole was hit in front of Yi Chen's chest. Kimen's Sleepy Sky Array. Yi Chen didn't even think about throwing out the magic charm that Chu Linger gave him. Hum. As the amulet trembled, it glowed brightly, and the sealed array was unsealed. 4 pillars of light stood up from the sky and connected to form a normal array, trapping the blood-robed people who were killed. The man in the blood robe looked ugly. Obviously, he didn't expect that a person's realm would still be in this position. However, he is a real spiritual realm, but he will not be afraid of it. Drive me. Blood robes rolled blood, and horrible magical powers were shot one after another, bombarding Kimen's trapped sky array. Seeing that the blood-robed man was trapped, Yi Chen naturally would not be idle. You must know that his attack can penetrate the Kimen Sleepy Sky Array and hit the blood-robed man, but the blood-robed man's attack was trapped by the Qi Men blocking of the array. Such an opportunity, naturally, he will not let go. 8 wild cuts. Yi Chen slashed with a knife, a single attack, no match. The face of the trapped blood-robe suddenly became brutal, and had to temporarily abandon the attacking array, smashing the golden blade of Ling Tian with a wave of his palm. Come again. After the shock retreated, Yi Chen shoved a handful of Weishuandan into his mouth and allowed the fairy fire to refining very close. Then he held a large knife and throbbed frantically. 8 wild cuts. 8 wild cuts. 8 wild cuts. He was sturdy, and he slashed 3 knives in one bite, and the knives were more powerful than one knives. The golden blade was dazzling under the night. Court death. The blood-robed man gave up the bombardment for the second time and waved his fingerprints again. Puff. Yi Chen was shocked again, and a blood spurted out. Come again. Just stopped his figure, he once again killed like a beast. This time, he learned to be clever, and rushed up with an iron whip. Without saying a word, raising his hand was a whip. The blood-robed man was smashed into a panic. Smash you. Yi Chen never stopped. One hand with an iron whip, one hand with a large knife, and a slash, and then slashed a slash, and slashed a slash. Puff, puff, puff. At this moment, Rao is a blood-robed man cultivated by the spiritual realm. He was chopped up by his blood, and his brain was roaring. He wanted to crack open, and made him shed blood, even standing still. During this period, the robe continued to spit and bleed blood, whether it was hurt or angry, and if Kimin was trapped in the sky, he would not be beaten by Yi Chen. You asterisk 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 it. After all, after a roar, the blood robes became fierce, his eyebrows lingered, and a blood ray flew out, transforming into a refining demon pot. He was furious, really furious, and he was so distressed that he would be beaten so miserably by a person's realm, and he was forced to use his destiny. Break it for me. With the anger of the blood robe man, his destiny magic weapon burst suddenly, and it suddenly became 5 or 6 feet in size. The mighty power recovered rapidly, and it struck the Kimin-trapped sky. Boom! With a roar, Kimin's sleepy sky shook, and the horror shook all the houses in the square. Broken! The man in the blood robe shouted again, and the imperial demon pot smashed into the Kimin sleepy array and killed it powerfully. Fight me with my destiny, my skin is really thick. Yi Chen sneered. As early as when the demon pot was about to be pressed, he rushed up against the sky, and suddenly slammed his whip, strong. Really smashed on the refining demon pot. What? The connection of the soul made the blood robe man again wounded. Just rushing out, it was a step. He thought that when the magical tool came out, Yi Chen would die. Carry on. Yi Chen slaughtered again. Before the blood robe man was awake, he gave a whip, and then he was slashed by 8 waists. When he slashed a slash. When he slashed a slash, he slashed a stab. Yi Chensheng was almost split by several times. What? The man in the blood robe roared angrily, stepping back, and flew Yi Chen with a palm. Kill. The furious blood-robed man could stand firm on his heels, like a ghost, and instantly killed Yi Chen, and his sharp claws gripped Yi Chen's neck, and ushered it against a wall. Yi Chen felt ashamed, trying to break free, but failed. I'll make you better than death. The blood-robed people's eyes were full of eyes, and another Senran claw was hooked toward Yi Chen's eyes. The posture was to dig out Yi Chen's eyes. Of course, at this moment, Yi Chen's mouth flashed a sneer. Seeing this, the blood-robed people felt a dangerous breath. The emergence of a purple sword was unexpectedly fast and extremely powerful. The blood-robed man was holding Yi Chen's arm and was chopped off by the purple sword on the spot. What? The blood-robed man screamed screamingly and stepped back. Yes, it was Zizan who shot and was summoned by Yi Chen at a critical moment, and gave the thunder a sword when the blood-robes relaxed their vigilance. Zishuan, it's beautiful. Yi Chen, who was free, laughed loudly, and suddenly stepped forward. First, he slammed the blood-robe man Tianling cover firmly, and then split it with a knife. I split it. What? The blood-robe man was furious, swept away with one palm, and retreated Yi Chen's out. Puff! A spit of blood spewed out. Yi Chen stood hurriedly. In the other direction, Zizan, who was holding a purple killing sword, stood still, and the two of them blocked the blood-robed man in the center. One of the blood-robed people's arms was cut off. In addition to the continuous wounding before, only half of his life was left. In his state, Yi Chen thought he had the power to fight. Besides, he also had Zizan to help. Kill! Kill! The roar of the blood-robe shivered and rushed to Yi Chen. Zizan moved, killed from the oblique side. Yi Jian Guan Chenghong attacked from behind him, and the power was not weak. The blood-robe man snorted coldly, but turned abruptly, and a big seal whistled out, shaking Zizan to fly out. However, when he turned around, Yi Chen, who was leaping in Ling Tian, had already raised his big sword, and the golden blade of the 8 wild cuts suddenly fell off. Puff! The blood-robe man was wounded on the spot, leaving a dreadful blood cloak on his body. Kill! Kill! Both were crazy. They rushed towards each other, launched a mystery battle, and the battle was fierce. On one side, the blood robes were so full of blood, the hair was shed, and the cold air was overflowing. The face was a bit distorted, and the eyes covered with gloom were fierce, and the whole person was like a demon. On one side, Yi Chen's evil spirits were raging, and bloody, and the whole body was full of bloodthirsty and violent gas. He didn't know the pain at all, and some attacked and then attacked, just like a demon king. Zizan, who was a cricket, played the role of Yi Chen's assists, and every time he shot, he could damage the blood-robe man. Several big tricks were brewing through the body of the blood-robe man. The two cooperated in tandem. Each time the blood-robe man slashed Yi Chen's sword, he would be attacked by Zizan, and every time the blood-robe man was slashed by Zizan, he would also be attacked by Yi Chen. The blood-robe man fell into the wind and kept backing down. He was almost chopped several times. The blood, which was as strong as the spiritual void, was almost consumed. However, the war is still fierce. After all, the blood robe is a spiritual realm, with profound heritage. At this moment, Rao is a team of Yi Chen and Zizan, who was also beaten up. Yi Chen would not have thought that for the first time fighting alongside Zizan, such a fierce blood battle was fought. Chapter 175, Nonsense Death. Boom, boom. Ha! The silent night became extraordinarily restless. The scene of the three men's war was huge. The houses in this small village collapsed one after another at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the blood was stained the earth. At this moment, Qin Shang, riding a warhorse, was staring nervously here on a small hill a dozen miles away. Although they were far apart, they could still hear the rumbling sound, and even the land here was slightly shaken, and the ***** gas that came from them made them all the long-sought generals. The color changed. General, wait a minute, and wait for the person to finish, Qin Shang muttered, that's not what we can participate in. Blood spirit curse. In the broken village, the blood-robe man used a secret method to seal off Zizan, who was constantly attacking him. He can be seen. Although this maggot has only the strength of Junyang state, the attack is fierce, especially when he has only half a life left. Even a weak attack is enough to hurt him. Ha! At this moment, Yi Chen killed from behind, and a sword hole penetrated his chest. What? The blood-robe man roared and waved the killing sword, and one sword cut off one of Yi Chen's arms. Kill, kill. One of them was swaying, one was sulking, one was like an evil king, one was like a demon, one was full of blood, and one was full of blood. Both were holding swords, and both were at the end of a strong crossbow. Puff, puff. The next battle was terrible. Both of them were crazy. You cut me a sword, I cut you a sword, and they fought fiercely. The blood-robe man was beaten crazy. Yi Chen was like Xiaoqiang, who could not die. His tenacity was far beyond his expectation. I don't know when the stricken village will be calm. Yi Chen fell down. His whole energy was clear, and he had no strength to stand up. He was very injured. His body was incomplete. All he could see was blood. An arm was cut off, his ribs were torn apart, and even his spine was exposed, which was worse than the outside door. Yu Dan's backbite was more severe. Kill, kill, kill. On the other side, the blood-robed man came out with a shawl, like a demon, with eyes full of fierce sorrow and a sullen face, and a blood-stained killing sword in his hand. He couldn't get better. He had numerous injuries, his arm was cut off, and only half of his skull was left. The spiritual power in Dantian had already been exhausted, and even the guard's magical tools were gone. At this moment, maybe a mortal kicked him, and he didn't necessarily stand up. Here, seeing the blood robes coming, Yi Chen moved his body hard, but after all, he didn't stand up. No more strength could be used, only the blood that was constantly emerging from his mouth. Master, you may be disappointed. He was exhausted with a smile, and a monk in the spirit of ghost fighting, he finally fell. Of course, just as his eyes were blurred, the earth began to tremble slightly. Listening carefully, it was the sound of a horse's hoof hitting the ground. The immortal is not afraid. Qin Shang is here. Far away, Yi Chen heard Qin Shang coming from a horse, and he was wearing a battle armor and holding a blue dragon to cut the sword. He was really a tiger general who swept through the army. Arrow. The general Zhao Guo, who came by the collapse of the horse, has all bowed like a full moon and aimed at the blood-robed man. Call out, call out, call out. Soon, a flying arrow was shot in a huge amount, like a rain of arrows, covering the blood-robed man. Seeing this, the blood-robed man was panicked, his eyes were highlighted, and his pupils suddenly shrank to the size of a needle. Although the flying arrows were shot by mortals, the power was negligible. However, his state at this time was not much different from that of a mortal. The true element was exhausted, and the spiritual power of the protector was lost. Even the weak attack at this moment could kill him. No, 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 no. The blood-robed man retreated, feeling only cold, as if half of his body had been dragged into hell. Puff, puff, puff. Jian Yu didn't have sympathy. He drowned him. One hole after another pierced his body, and the whole person was like a grass handle, full of long arrows. Kill. Qin Shang rushed again, the fastest speed, has slammed the Qinglong's sword. The steed passed by, and the broken head of the blood-robe was cut off on the spot. Vaguely, the eyes of the blood-robed man's rolled head were angry, frightened, and depressed. He is a mighty imaginary and powerful person, and he will be beheaded by mortals. Throughout the monk world, although his cultivation is not the strongest, his method of death is the most nonsense. Good job. Seeing that the blood-robed man fell, Yi Chen could not help sighing, and his blurred eyes closed slightly. In this battle, his record is enough to be proud of himself. You know, what he encountered was a powerful man with a great spiritual realm. He straddled the two realms. Although he had the blessing of magic power, he had an iron whip dedicated to human souls, and Zizan's help, but this record there may be no ancients and no comers. Up the immortal, Qin Shang surrounded them. There is still breath, fast. Qin Shang hurried forward, carried Yi Chen on his body, and walked towards Zhao Guo Palace at the fastest speed. In the dark night, one of Zhao Guo's stretches of mountains, a mountain peak soaring into the clouds, an old man in a purple robe sitting cross-legged slowly opened his eyes and looked up to one side. Why is it so late tonight? It's time to return. The old man in purple robe frowned slightly. Old, let me go. There was a cold drink in the alchemy furnace next to him. My grandpa won't let you go. Noise. The old man in the purple robe hummed and closed the alchemy furnace. Zhao Guo Palace, a comfortable big bed. Zhao Yu and Qin Shang stood in front of the bed, staring at the fainting Yi Chen. Not to blame them, just blame Yi Chen for being too weird at this time. Although he was in fainting, the sound of skeletal collision was constantly heard in his body. The wounds on his body were covered with blue smoke. He was slowly healing, the flesh was abandoned, and the new flesh grew. Even the arm that was cut off is slowly growing. Yes, the barren refining system has started to run on its own again. It's domineering. In fact, Zhao Yu and Qin Shang, they are not understandable by monks. It's worthy of being a fairy. I can't wait for comparison. Zhao Yu's eyes full of awe. Your Majesty, shall we give a message to Hengyu Shangzong? Qin Shang looked at Zhao Yu. If Shangxian has a problem with us, we cannot afford to guilty. It's true, but it's safer to say. I'll go now. Qin Shang hurriedly went out, walked to the door of the hall, and did not forget to salute a 12-year-old girl who came in, Princess. Uncle Qin. The young girl was a little playful, and he smiled, revealing two crystal-clear little tiger teeth and two lovely little dimples. She was like an elf. This girl is Zhao Yu's pro-daughter and Zhao Guo's Princess Shangyong, Shi Yan. The princess is so late, how come to the palace hall? Qin Shang smiled gently. I heard that another fairy is coming. I'll take a look. Hey he he. Shi Yan smiled happily, and before Qin Shang talked, he ran in. But soon, she was dragged out by Zhao Yu who came out. Chapter 176, Admit. There was nothing to say all night, and then dawn. In the morning, the light of the morning light shined through the window into the room, and sprinkled on Yi Chen's face. At this point, his wounds had almost healed, and even the arm that had been cut off had grown. The only drawback was that his breath was still weak and his face was still pale. It's not just when the Princess Shangyong Xian sneaked in, first glanced around, and then slipped to the bed. His eyes fluttered up and down to look at Yi Chen, and then he curiously stretched out his small hand to touch Yi Chen's face. This fairy is more beautiful than the previous one, he he he. Shi Yan smiled hesitantly, not forgetting to pinch Yi Chen's face twice. Feeling that someone touched himself, Yi Chen could not help but open his eyes, and on the face he saw a small face with a carved jade bracelet and a pair of big water-like eyes, staring at him blinking. Wow! As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw such a scene. Yi Chen sat up suddenly. Who are you? Yi Chen woke up suddenly, letting Shi Yan unexpectedly, but with a playful grin. My name is Shi Yan. is Princess Zhaoyang's Shangyang. Princess Shangyang. Yi Chen glanced at Xian and looked around again, murmured, has she been taken back to Zhao Guo's palace? Well, did I scare Shangxian just now? All right, okay. Yi Chen rubbed his eyebrows, his eyes gradually restored to clearness, remembering what happened last night, annihilating the evil blood sorceress, and fighting with the blood robes. He died a lifetime. Talking, Yi Chen has turned over and got out of bed, and then stretched a lazy back fiercely. Aside, Shi Yan peeked at Yi Chen more than once, feeling that the immortal in front of him didn't have the majesty and impersonality in his imagination, but looked more like a big brother. Outside, Zhao Yu and Qin Shang came in hastily, and saluted respectfully to Yi Chen. Shangxian, thank you for helping me to rescue Zhao Guoming from water and fire. I'll be unforgettable. Should. Yi Chen continued to stretch his somewhat stiff body. Since the evil spirits have been removed, I will go first. I've waited for a banquet, and I'll invite you to the ferry. You don't have to eat. Yi Chen waved her hand and smiled, and said that she had already taken steps. Up. Yi Chen, who had just taken a step, was stopped by Shi Yan behind him. Hearing, Yi Chen could not help but stop, looking sideways. Is there something wrong? Yes. Shi Yan grinned and jumped forward with small steps, blinked his eyes, and looked at Yi Chen with aspiration. Can Brother Shangxian accept me as an apprentice? I want to practice. The practice is to be particular about. Before Yi Chen finished speaking, the little princess Xian threw herself on the ground and said, Shi Yan meets the master. No, I didn't tell you to accept you as an apprentice. Yi Chen froze and was caught off guard by Shi Yan's kneeling. Is he still an apprentice? Sorry to teach others. Then I don't care. Anyway, if I kneel, you have to accept me as an apprentice. Shi Yan slammed her mouth and started playing Lai Pai, but it is worth mentioning that this little girl is also cute when playing Lai Pai. Yuner, don't be rude. On the one side, Zhao Yu scolded, taking the majesty of the emperor. He didn't expect that his baby daughter would give him such an outing, and he would always be coquettish in front of him. But who is Yi Chen? That is a fairy, and if he accidentally angers him, don't say it is him, even the whole Zhao state will suffer. Father Emperor, Brother Shangxian is very nice. Don't make a fool, okay. Seeing that Zhao Yu was real, Yi Chen waved her hand, looked at Shi Yan, and smiled. Little girl, do you know what it means to be a fairy? What does it mean? Shi Yan's two big eyes flickered and looked at Yi Chen. It means that you have a long life, which means you have to take a path destined to be cruel. Yi Chen smiled. You may imagine that as a monk, you are no longer immortal, you have a long life that a mortal does not have. You will see for yourself that your loved one is dying and dying in front of you, and then after years of vicissitudes, you may never see a familiar person again, no one will cry on your shoulders, and no one will lend you your arms. The so-called father and queen will also disappear along with the sea. When your leaves return to their roots, look around. Zhao Guo's people may not know who is Xian. Quote. Speaking of this, Yi Chen smiled at Shi Yan, you would still be a monk. As for his side, Zhao Yu and Qin Shang both looked at Shi Yan. Look at this little girl again, her head is lowered, and her playful, it is rare to be so silent. Here, Yi Chen has turned again, and then placed a spirit sword on the jade case. If you still want to practice Taoism, you can carry this sword to Hengyu to find me. The hall was still silent after Yi Chen left. Outside the hall, Yi Chen has set foot on the cloud of fairy fire. He did not leave immediately, but constantly appeared in small villages. Although the evil witch blood which has already been destroyed, he is still not assured. If the blood witch in Zhao state has not been wiped out, more people will become dead souls. That night, Yi Chen appeared in that small village again. In the distance, he saw that Ali was still curled up under the peach tree with her knees, reflecting the moonlight. Her small body was very weak, and the illusory soul was constantly swaying in the wind. Hey! With a sigh, Yi Chen sighed slightly and appeared in front of Ali. Little sister, your brother. The words came to his lips, but Yi Chen stopped. Although he knew that Ali's brother Yang Fan was dead, he still didn't know how to say it. However, he did not say it. It does not mean that Ali did not see it. Although her memory is muddled, she is very clever and has already guessed a certain result. Brother said, he will come back. Although he knew, Ali smiled pretentiously. Although he was in a state of soul, Yi Chen could faintly see the flashing tears in her eyes. Brother, thank you for coming to see me, Ali is not afraid. Ali smiled pretentiously. Brother said, he will come back, I will wait for him here. Yi Li's strong smile made Yi Chen regretful. Although she was in a state of soul, he could faintly see the flashing tears from her eyes. Her obsession was too strong. Hey, Yi Chen shook his head helplessly, turning silently, I hope that years can make you forget everything. Out of the small village, Yi Chen wandered around Zhao Guo again. After the passing of time, he did not find any other blood witches appeared, so he stepped on the cloud of fairy fire toward Heng Yu. The night sky is deep, and broken stars are like dust. Under the starry sky, the golden flame cloud is very dazzling. Flying, Yi Chen could not help but land, fell into a dark mountain forest, and then looked up to look at one side. Sanyu strangely, Yi Chen murmured, he had seen on the map of Zhao Guo before, but now passing by, he could not help but stop and watch. Seen from a distance, there are 3 steep mountains that occupy the innate trend. They bear heaven and earth, and although they are mortal kingdoms, they gather strange powers, which make the 3 mountains surrounded by clouds. It's a second. Yi Chen gave a sigh of surprise and slowly walked up a cliff, hoping to see it more clearly. It's extraordinary, it's extraordinary. Yi Chen touched his chin, and exclaimed again. I'll definitely come back to study it later. Thinking in this way, Yi Chen could not help but turn around. However, as soon as he turned around, his look suddenly changed, and he stepped back subconsciously. No wonder he was so, just because a purple-robed man was standing behind him, as skinny as a firewood, and his body was like dried bacon, like a zombie. Chapter 177, Escape from the Dead. When did he come? I didn't even notice the slightest. Looking at the Zipao man, Yi Chen felt as if he was standing behind him, he didn't even know. Good majestic blood. Zipao licked his tongue, and the corner of his mouth was soaked with a grinning smile. A terrifying coercion had already appeared, and Yi Chen felt only that he couldn't move. Senior, just because of the lack of a monk, it's you. The man in the purple robe smiled faintly, the big sleeves waved immediately, rolled up Yi Chen, and stepped down, like a rainbow of God flew to the opposite side, and fell on the mountain peak in the middle of Sanyu Kiti above. Sure enough, there is a master of alchemy. Yi Chen, who was imprisoned, fluttered his thoughts, because he had smelled a familiar scent of elixir from the purple-robed man, exactly like Zhao Guguo's blood coat. Is it the blood witches he manipulates? It must be so. Those blood witches slaughtered the village and captured the children must have brought him alchemy. It turned out he was the biggest killer. Here, the old man in purple robes has pushed open the furnace roof of the alchemy furnace and threw Yi Chen directly into it. The alchemy furnace is a world of its own. The capacity inside it is not only the alchemy furnace, but also a horrible spirit. It is full of burning red flames and a nasty atmosphere. As soon as he landed, Yi Chen was imprisoned by a scarlet spirit charm. Drive me. Yi Chen gritted his teeth, and the anger in his body was violently violent, but he still couldn't break the imprisonment of that charm. The just infuriated Qi was also pressed back into the Danhai by the spirit charm. Don't waste any effort. As Yi Chen had no choice, the voice of a woman speaking came from the opposite side. Yi Chen froze, only to find himself sitting opposite him. To be precise, it was a woman of about 16 or 17 years old, wearing a snow-white dress, with long hair flowing like water waves, beautiful eyes like a clear spring, and facial features are the beauty of a carved jade bracelet. The temperament of the whole person is just like a blooming white lotus. I thought I was so unlucky. You couldn't be better off. When Yi Chen was in a daze, the white woman spoke again, saying that she did not forget to look up and down Yi Chen. Who is this immortal? Why arrest you? Yi Chen asked, looking at the woman in white. Why else? Alchemy. The white-eyed woman looked cold. This man is extremely cruel. Since I was thrown into this alchemy furnace, he has pumped the soul of hundreds of babies, and you and me, soon after, he will be used as a medicine guide to make the blood-eating Yuandan. Quote. Bloodthirsty Yuan Dan, 4-stripe high-end miracle. Oh, Do you know the bloodthirsty Yuan Dan? For Yi Chen, the white woman was slightly surprised. Have heard of it? Yi Chen nodded. The bloodthirsty Yuandan needs to take the essence of 9,999 babies for medicine, because the methods are extremely cruel, and it is against the practice of Dan, so it used to be he was listed as a taboo medicine by the king of Dan in the new year. I never imagined that there are still people in the world who use this cruel method to make this medicine. Quote. Having said that, Yi Chen looked at the woman in white opposite and asked, "Girl, do you know the origin of the purple robe man who caught us?" The woman in white shook her head gently. This man is very weird. Since he knows the bloodthirsty Yuandan's refining method, his position in the alchemy world must be extraordinary, but based on my experience, I have never heard of this people. Hearing that, Yi Chen fell into deep contemplation. As an alchemist, under the influence of Shu Fu, he also has a certain understanding of the alchemy world. Although there are many alchemists in Dachu, there are only a few that can rank in the top ranks. Like a woman in white, he never heard Shu Fu mention such an evil alchemist. Dachu is a crouching tiger, a hidden dragon. Yi Chen muttered. I just hope that the strong man in Shangguan's house can find here as soon as possible, otherwise we all have to die. When Yi Chen groaned, the woman in white prayed there prayerfully. Shangguan family. Yi Chen froze, tentatively looking at the woman in white, Dongyu's Shangguan family. The woman in white nodded slightly. My name is Shangguan Yuer, and I am the third lady of Dongyu Shangguan. You're not sent by the family to observe the ceremony. Yi Chen scooped up and down Shangguan Yuer. Otherwise you thought I ran here from Dongyu leisurely. That shouldn't be so. Yi Chen's face was puzzled. Dongyu Shangguan's family dominated one party and didn't dare to provoke even 3 cases. Your identity is so noble, how could you be caught by that evil alchemist? Having said that, Yi Chen tentatively looked at Shangguan Yuer, or did you say that the powerful Shangguan family was all destroyed by that evil alchemist? Kiki. Speaking of this, Shangguan Yuer coughed, I slipped halfway. I was caught here shortly after I ran, and has been sealed in this **** alchemy furnace for 3 days. That's bad enough. How about you? Why were you caught too? Shangguan Yuer gave Yi Chen a glance. What about me? Yi Chen coughed. I am a casual repairer. I can't sleep in the middle of the night. I ran out to look at the stars. I looked at it, and here I am. It's strange to believe you. Shangguan Yuer gave Yi Chen a nasty look. Immediately after Shangguan Yuer's remarks, the furnace roof of the alchemy furnace was pushed open, a dry face appeared on the mouth of the furnace, a pair of gloomy eyes glanced at the two, and a grinning smile, it seems you talked very happy. Quote. The old one. Let me go quickly, or I will look good on you when the Shangguan strong comes. Shangguan Yuer immediately sang and sang, if not physically imprisoned, she would rush up like a little tigress. When she drank it, Yi Chen also followed the coax and shouted, Old man, I advise you to get to know the point, but I am from Tianquanmen, you dare to move me, Tianquanmen will not let you go. Hurry us up, believe it or not, my master is here to knock you down. One of Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer took gunpowder, one was beaten with chicken blood, and one was louder than the other. However, from the beginning to the end, the old man in purple robes just looked at it with interest, as if Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer were like 2 jumping bean clowns. For him, the so-called scaring was too pediatric. I don't know how long it took before Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer stopped dry. Did you finish the scolding? The robe of Zipao raised a grinning smile. Then enjoy the feast I prepared for you. It won't be long before you become the 2 souls of bloodthirsty Yuandan. With that said, the man in the purple robe covered the stovetop again with a bang. Soon, the blood-red flame in the alchemy furnace exploded, and the rolling flames drowned Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer on the spot. It's over, this old one is going to refine us. Shangguan Yuer's face changed suddenly when he saw it. Damn. Yi Chen's expression was also dignified like never before. He originally had the guardian of immortal fire, but he was blocked by the **** amulet on his body. Even the immortal fire could not break through the imprisonment. Soon, a horrible burning sensation covered the whole body. Yi Chen only felt like he was being framed on the oven. On the opposite side, Shangguan Yuer's condition was not much better, and under the burning of the red flame, the white dress she wore turned to ashes at a speed that was visible to the naked eye, exposing the white and soft skin. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly straightened, but she never realized that her clothes were also being burned into ashes. "What are you looking at?" Seeing Yi Chen staring at herself, Shangguan Yuer gave him a severe glance, not knowing if it was burned or because of something else. Her cheeks were red. I didn't see anything." Yi Chen could not help but cough, but his eyes were still staring round, because Shangguan Yuer's clothes had already been burned to ashes, most of them when the pair of jade chests were bare. He couldn't help but secretly swallowed a spit of water, a wicked fire in the lower abdomen. It was rampant rising. "You still see. There are two flames in Shangguan Yuer's beautiful eyes. Who is she?" "She is the Honorable Miss 3 of Shangguan's family. He has never been seen by a man like this. Don't you look at me too." Yi Chen was not afraid of hot pigs. When will I see you? Besides, you didn't see how I knew I saw you." Chapter 178. Untie Me. "What?" Shangguan Yuer was so angry that Yi Chen said that his cheeks were even redder. He closed his eyes and scolded, "You close my eyes, too." Yi Chen said in his mouth, but his eyes were still staring round and round, staring directly at Shangguan Yuer, the straight jade chest, the long jade legs, and the nearly perfect carcass. Here, Shangguan Yuer, who closed her eyes, didn't worry about Yi Chen, and opened her eyes and looked at Yi Chen, only to find that Yi Chen hadn't closed her eyes. Instead she scowled around her, both eyes were seen it's about to fall out. "You still watch." Shangguan Yuer looked at Yi Chen with anger in his eyes. I also just opened my eyes." Yi Chenggen coughed after being arrested. "You close my eyes. Anyway, I'm going to die, don't look white or not." Here, Yi Chen just shamelessly, and that look was called a pair of eyes glowing. "What?" Shangguan Yuer's lungs were exploding, and her small asterisk were violently undulating. Fortunately, she was imprisoned. If she was lifted from the ban, she would jump up and stab Yi Chen. As a result, the alchemy furnace showed such a beautiful scene, two naked people sitting opposite each other. On one side, Yi Chen was naked, and the whole Guangguang's body was exposed in front of Shangguan Yuer, but with his thick face and his shameless spirit, he didn't know how to blush. On the opposite side, Shangguan Yuer simply closed his eyes, not only his cheeks, but even the perfect carcass, which was completely red and could not be penetrated. His naked body was completely exposed in front of a strange man. Once gave her the urge to commit suicide. I do not know when the furnace roof of the alchemy furnace opened again. Then, a variety of herbs glowing with lingxia were put in, and they were refined into the essence by the raging red flame, and then divided into two parts and melted into Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer. Seeing this, Yi Chen recovered her gaze from Shangguan Yuer. He knew that the evil alchemy master had actually begun to make the blood-eating Yuanlingdan. He and Shangguan Yuer were both yin and yang medicine, and the essence of many spirit grasses had to be incorporated into their bodies. To put it bluntly, the body of him and Shangguan Yuer is a container, not only to carry the essence of many spiritual grasses, but also to integrate the soul of the 9,999 babies. In the end, when the babies' spirits are completely integrated into the bodies of the two, they will be thoroughly refined and eventually refined into a panacea, which is the so-called bloodthirsty mixed yuan. Lao Su will not really be smelt into this alchemy furnace. Yi Chen's hateful itching, secretly wondering how to escape. Feeling that the essence of Ling Sao was incorporated into the body, Shangguan Yuer could not help but open his eyes. First, he stared at Yi Chen severely. Then he began to examine his body and found that the rich Ling Sao essence was nourishing her meridians. I have forgotten you. Yi Chen, who was contemplating, raised her head suddenly. Soon, he thought of it and summoned Zizan. Yeah, Shangguan Yuer saw Zizan. Her eyes could not help but froze for a moment, but soon she let out the bright light, as if she saw the hope of escape from Zizan. Tear me this blood-colored magic charm from me. Yi Chen ordered Zizan. After receiving the owner's order, Zizan moved immediately, and Yu hand flicked away, taking away the charm from Yi Chen, and she was called back on the spot by Yi Chen. The scarlet charm was taken away, Yi Chen's imprisonment was lifted instantly, and the sealed Danhai had no imprisonment, and the body naturally recovered its ability to act. Untie it for me. Shangguan Yuer gave Yi Chen a stern glance. Seeing Shangguan Yuer's beautiful eyes, Yi Chen gave a subconscious cough, and touched the tip of his nose. He said, "Now, let's say that, we can lift the restraint for you, but you can't find me." Hatred. You have so much nonsense. Yi Chen shook her head, but still beckoned to lift the ban for Shangguan Yuer. I strangle you. Once the restraint was lifted, Shangguan Yuer pounced on it like a tigress. I depend. Didn't you just say right? Yi Chen cursed, and turned away. You saw my body naked, and you want me to spare you. Shangguan Yuer chased behind Yi Chen just like that. Okay. Outside, feeling the movement in the alchemy furnace, the old man in the purple robe sitting cross opened his eyes and stood up towards the alchemy furnace. Stop. Yi Chen, who was running away from the alchemy furnace, stopped abruptly. Sit down. Immediately, he sat down with his knees crossed, before still noticing a serious look at Shangguan Yuer. Shu Shi also noticed the movement outside, and Shangguan Yuer hurriedly sat down and crossed his knees. As before, he sat opposite to Yi Chen, just a pair of beautiful eyes that wanted to eat people, and never changed. Sure enough, the dry face of the old man in the purple robe appeared at the intersection of the alchemy furnace the next moment. After looking inside, after seeing Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer still sitting securely in their original positions, he just smiled, turned and walked away, and continued to control the fire to refine the essence of spirit grass. After the old man in purple robes left, Shangguan Yuer got up and rushed up, but Yi Chen scolded him back. If you don't want to die, just sit there obediently, and if you want to kill me, you have to wait until you are out. Yi Chen glanced at Shangguan Yuer. Although I really wanted to stab Yi Chen on the spot, Shangguan Yuer sat obediently, just staring at Yi Chen fiercely. However, Yi Chen's words are not without reason. Now they are still trapped in the alchemy furnace. There is a horrible alchemist outside. If you want to go out alive, you can't act lightly or you will die even worse. If you want to go out alive, listen to me. Yi Chen glanced at Shangguan Yuer. What plans do you have? Shangguan Yuer glanced at Yi Chen. I know you have hundreds of clothes in your storage bag, but you can't wear one, and it was discovered by the alchemist that we all had to finish playing. I understand. Shangguan Yuer stared at Yi Chen, and she wasn't stupid, or she was already dressed the moment she lifted the ban. With the cooperation of Shangguan Yuer, Yi Chen was relieved, and he continued to say, when the alchemist masters the alchemy, it is the most taboo to disturb anyone, and this is the most important point in the process of biting the blood-eating spirit. When the soul is condensed into our body, that is the best time for us to take a shot. Quote. After listening to Yi Chen's remarks, Shangguan Yuer also temporarily forgot something and looked at Yi Chen and asked, You seem to know alchemy very well. I'm an alchemist. Yi Chen did not hide. Are you an alchemist? Obviously, Yi Chen's words surprised Shangguan Yuer. It's this time, do I have to lie to you? Yi Chen shrugged. He knew that in order to escape, he needed the cooperation of Shangguan Yuer, so he still didn't decide to hide something. Just like him, it is the identity of the alchemist. So, what we need to do is to keep it as it is. He treats our body as a container to carry the essence of spiritual grass, and we follow him. We will eat as much as he gives, and we will improve our cultivation as much as possible. We want to make every effort, because we have only one chance. Yi Chen looked at Shangguan Yuer again. I said, you understand. Quote. Understand. Staring at Yi Chen, Shangguan Yuer closed her eyes simply, and didn't care if Yi Chen was still looking at her body. Just understand. Yi Chen also closed her eyes. Before closing her eyes, she still glanced at Shangguan Yuer's white and tender carcass. Chapter 179. Speedy Advance. Next, there was silence in the alchemy furnace. Shangguan Yuer and Yi Chen both closed their eyes and closed their eyes. The essence of the spirit that was thrown into them. They are the one who refuses to come, how much they swallow, so that in the subtle influence, their cultivation is approaching the next realm quickly. With, I do not know when such a sound came from Shangguan Yuer's body. Breakthrough. Yi Chen opened his eyes slightly, and after careful observation, it was found that Shangguan Yuer had indeed broken through, leaping from the peak of the human realm to the real sun, and his breath was 10 times thicker than before. More than. It is indeed a person from Shangguan's family, and the talent really is not ordinary. Yi Chen murmured and closed his eyes again. Compared with Shangguan Yuer, his cultivation progress is slower, because he has a large capacity of Danhai, so that it is extremely difficult to break through. After 3 hours, that sound sounded again, but this time it came out from Yi Chen's body. The other person's metamorphosis was a strong cultivation, and the strong impulse went to the second metamorphosis of human metamorphosis, and the breath became with it, tyrannical. Next, such sounds kept coming from Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer. The two seemed to be in good discussion. You ring and I ring. You break through a small realm, and I break through a small realm. Nearly 9 hours down, Shangguan Yuer's cultivation has progressed from the peak of the original human realm to the 4th level of the true realm, while Yi Chen's cultivation has also progressed from the human realm to the human realm. 4th. After a long time, Shangguan Yuer, who had closed his eyes, found the problem, and couldn't help looking at Yi Chen up and down in doubt. What a freak this kid is, Shangguan Yuer muttered to himself. I have broken through to the 4th level in the realm of Yangyang, and at least the 8th level in the cultivation of other people's realms. This advanced speed is also slow. Quote. However, how did she know that Yi Chen's body was not Dan Tian but Dan Hai, and the capacity was much larger than the 4th most important of her true son? Weird, really weird. Shangguan Yuer looked at it, but accidentally glanced at the erect thing in Yi Chen's lower body. Suddenly, Shangguan Yuer's cheeks became hot, and her small heart fluttered. Regardless of whether it was intentional or unintentional, she did see it. Although she was a monk, it was also her daughter's house. For the first time, she saw something straight from a man, which made her panic. Maybe it was too panic. Shangguan Yuer apparently didn't find that closed eyes. Yi Chen had opened his eyes. His eyes were round and staring at Shangguan Yuer's lower body. His eyes were shining brightly. You dare to look at it. Shangguan Yuer hurriedly concealed, and instantly glared at Yi Chen 180 times. You've all seen me, and you've got me hit you. Not only was she ashamed, but she was also angered. Shangguan Yuer's whole body showed a charming blush at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. She simply closed her eyes and looked down without being ashamed. It's strange to die. Now, we're leveled. Yi Chen closed her eyes, and before she closed her eyes, she also said something that almost made Shangguan Yuer vomit blood on the spot. At the same time, Heng Yizong ushered in a group of distinguished guests, who came from the 3 elders of the Shangguan family. Shangguan's Daoyu came from afar. It's really a rare visitor. As a sign of respect, Yang Dingtian brought an elder to meet in person. Yang Daoyu, this time I came to ask for something. The elder of Shangguan's house, Shangguan Bo, looked anxiously at Yang Dingtian. Oh, Shangguan Daoyu, but it doesn't matter. I'm here to watch the 3 contests, but my third lady Shangguan Yuer is too naughty and runs away privately. So far, I have no message. I want to come to this place of Hengyu. Wang Yang Daoyu sent someone to find me. Home is grateful. Quote. But I don't know where Miss Shangguan left. Yang Dingtian asked hurriedly. Within Zhao Guo. After hearing it, Chu Shuaner beside Yang Dingtian frowned suddenly. Time passed and 3 hours passed. In these 3 hours, Shangguan Yuer did not make any breakthroughs, but Yi Chen's cultivation was sturdy and ranked 5th in the human world. Outside, less and less precious spirit grass was thrown in, and the two knew that it was almost time for them to fight back, because the next most important moment was to bite into the spirit of the baby. The next step is to melt the soul, and in the process of melting the soul is our best time to escape. Yi Chen groaned. Sure enough, as soon as his words fell, all imaginary souls flew in, and if he looked carefully, he could vaguely recognize that it was like a baby. Wow. Although it looks like a soul, Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer can hear the cry from those baby souls. They are all confused and lonely, seemingly looking for their mother. This is all life. Looking at the baby souls, Shangguan Yuer face frost. Ignore life, it is really abominable. Yi Chen's face was also abnormally cold, and the lives of 999 fresh babies had not seen this flower world, nor had they grown up. This is the world of the strong, too cruel. Soon, the alchemy furnace buzzed, and the babies' souls began to merge into Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer one by one, the most important thing being their souls. At this moment, Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer fell into silence. Although the soul helps to improve their soul cultivation, so accepting the babies' souls in such a way makes them have an inexplicable guilt in their hearts. You must know that their souls are raised at the cost of innocent babies. Let's rush out. Shangguan Yuer glanced at Yi Chen. I don't want to blend into the soul of these children. I don't want to. Yi Chen took a deep breath. But at this time is not the best time. You have to know that only if we are alive can we have a chance to become strong and to get justice for these innocent undead. Quote. Shangguan Yuer pursed her lips silently, but closed her eyes. Yi Chen also closed her eyes. Although she did not want to, she still silently accepted the baby soul that was integrated into his soul. His soul was slowly improving in the subtle way. The baby soul was the purest and cleansed in the subtle way. His soul. So, time is passing slowly. The old man in purple robe sat outside on a stone platform. Alchemy really reached the most critical moment. He wanted one side to control the flames, and at the same time urged the baby soul to merge into Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer's body. This process could not be more urgent, nor could it be more disturbing. An error occurred in any link, may lead to the failure of alchemy. Blooding Yuanlingdon, I am finally going to refine it. Although the eyes were closed, the old robe of the purple robe still moved a dark smile. This Dan is 10%, I am bound to increase greatly. Dan Chen, when you drove me out of Dancheng, I never thought I was alive. Wait, I will make you pay a bitter price, and the old immortal Bantan pharmacopoeia will also be mine, huh? Chapter 180. Escape the Birthday. Wow, wow. In the alchemy furnace, the cry of the baby never ceased. And for an hour of soul fusion, the souls of the 999 babies have been integrated into most of Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer, and their soul power has also been greatly improved in the process of soul fusion. For them, this may be a fortune. However, good fortune is good fortune, that is to be able to go out alive. At a certain moment, Yi Chen, who was sitting crosswise, suddenly opened his eyes, and there was a flash of light in his eyes. The time has come. Hearing that, Shangguan Yuer also opened his eyes and took a deep breath to look at Yi Chen, because the moment that determined their fate came. You don't have trapped magic or magic charms. Yi Chen looked at Shangguan Yuer. It was said that Shangguan Yuer first pursed his lips, and then handed a spiritual charm to Yi Chen after 2 or 3 seconds. Quote. Approximately how long monks can be trapped? Up to 10 seconds. Be prepared to rush out. Yi Chen glanced at Shangguan Yuer. Okay. Shangguan Yuer nodded gently. The dormant power in the body was gathering, only to explode for a moment. Here, Yi Chen had summoned Zizan, and then gave her the second magical charm of the trapped sky ray that Chu Zan gave him and the Zan Xie Zan 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 array symbol from Shangguan Yuer. And he turned over and took out the iron whip dedicated to the soul. The next moment, Yi Chen took a hard breath, and there was a sharp light flashing in his eyes. Do it. With a sudden flick, Zizan was still like a javelin for the last second, and this second suddenly flew out of the alchemy furnace like a purple light, and rushed to the old purple robe. Okay. Outside, seeing someone flying out of the alchemy furnace, the old man in the purple robe frowned. How can there be a third person in the alchemy furnace? No, it's me. After frowning, the old man in the purple robe narrowed his eyes slightly. Really it. Seeing Zizan rushing, the old man in Zipao's face suddenly became extremely eerie. At the critical moment, he had to interrupt the soul fusion, and then the disillusioned hand grabbed Zizan. Dare to attack me. Of course, just as he was about to suppress Zizan, Yi Chen, who was still in the alchemy furnace, waved the iron whip and hit the inner wall of the alchemy furnace fiercely. LB. The sound of metal impact sounded instantly, because the alchemy furnace was not only used for alchemy, but also a spiritual tool for the old man in purple robes. Because of the connection of the soul of the old man in purple robes was also wounded. The big handout came to a standstill. LB. The sound in the alchemy furnace continued, and Yi Chen slammed dozens of times in one breath. Here, The purple robe old man who had just regained his soberness was once again caught in a short dizziness. At this moment, Zizan had already sent out the seals of Kimin Sleepy Sky Array and Xuanji Shenxian Array, and the target was the old man in purple robe. Boom! The Kimin Sleepy Sky Array was first unsealed, and 4 aura pillars appeared, inserted into the ground, crossed the night sky, and the runes above appeared, and the connections were intertwined together for a moment. Kimin Sleepy Array. The old purple robe snorted coldly, as if recognizing that Kimin Sleepy Array. At the same time, the Xuanji Shenxian Array was also presented, and the scene was huge, with 9 beams of light penetrating the sky and the earth, converging into a horrible sleepy matrix. Xuanji Binding Fairy Array. The purple robe old man's face was gloomy again. It seemed that he also recognized the unique law array of Shengyu of Dongyu. This time, the 2 teams came together and he was trapped inside. It is now. Everything was under control. Yi Chen was very profitable. The first one broke out of the alchemy furnace, and Shangguan Yuer also jumped out. Seeing Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer rushing out one by one, the purple-skinned old man's eerie face suddenly became embarrassed and spent so much energy, but he never expected such a change at a critical moment. As a monk in the netherworld, he was put together by 2 juniors. Go! Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer didn't dare to stay at all, and already rushed into the lush mountain forest like an aura of light. Stay! The old purple robe hummed, trying to catch up, but was besieged by 2 French arrays. Do you dare to stop me like this, law formation? The old man in purple robes was furious, and his palms blasted over the 2 law arrays. The law array trembled violently, and he was almost blown away by the palm of his hand. He's an empty realm, and he can't stop him for a long time. Yi Chen glanced behind him in the mountain forest as he fled quickly. His face was not ordinary ugly. It's life or death, it depends on creation. Go! Boom! After the 2 had just gone, there was a roar behind them. The Kimin Trapped Sky Array and the mysterious Xuanji Bound Fairy Array were strongly blown away by the purple robe old man. The powerful coercion of the empty realm spread instantly. The alchemy furnace also lifted off, and the blood-blooming horror bloomed. As soon as it trembled, it collapsed to mountain peak. Have you escaped? The cold voice was so loud that the old man in purple robe stepped out like a godman chased away. Feeling that the purple robe old man was chasing behind, Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer's faces changed instantly. Sweat had soaked their clothes, and there was a terrible empty pursuit behind them, and they could be killed at any time. Master, save me! Yi Chen took out the Zhuan Yin Curse magic charm, hurriedly said something to the magic charm, and then sacrificed the magic charm. Uncle San, save me! Shangguan Yuer on the side also took out a magic charm similar to Yi Chen, said in a hurry, and offered it out. Okay. At this time, Chu Shuiner, who did not know where and when, was flying in the air, and found that a magic note in his sleeve was flashing, and he hurriedly took it out. This magic note was also a magical spell for thousands of miles, and it was connected to Yi Chen. Master, save me! Suddenly, Yi Chen's urgent call for help came out of the amulet. Sister Mei, is Yi Chen? Yang Dingtian beside them looked at Chu Zhan'er. It's Yi Chen's voice for help. Uncle San, save me! The words fell, and a magic note in the hands of Shangguan Bo aside also heard Shangguan Yuer's voice. Is it true that Yuer and Wuzong's Yi Chen were together, regardless of the successive voices for help? It should be like this, they must be in big trouble. To the northeast, Chu Shuiner moved first, pedaling in the void, like a shenmeng. The speed was extremely fast, and his expression was full of worry. Yi Chen, you must support the master. After Chu Shuiner, a group of elders from Hengyu, such as Yang Dingtian and Feng Wuan, and 3 elders from the Shangguan family flew towards the northeast. Boom! Rumble! Under the sky, there were rumbling sounds. Behind Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer, the towering mountains collapsed, and the distance between the old man in purple robes and him was also drawing closer. Stay! With a dark voice rang out into the sky, a large hand pressed down, a mountain collapsed, and both of them flew out. Separate, Yi Chen and Shangguan Yuer fled in 2 directions. Is it okay? The old man in purple robes killed him instantly, covering the sky with his volley, grabbing Shangguan Yuer. Is it dormant for so long? Is it still difficult to escape doom? Shangguan Yuer was so impressed that she couldn't move. Her face was pale, her face was beautiful, she was really desperate, knowing that if she was caught back this time, she would be dead the end of life. Of course, at this moment, a loud cursing sounded through the midnight supper. I'll go to you.